So this is the first time that we've done this, but we are going to start doing live breaking news coverage whenever possible. And that's thanks very much to our good friends at Slingbox. Use Slingbox to watch your favorite TV shows when you're away from home. Now available at Best Buy. To learn more, find an in-store demo near you at slingbox.com. Tom Merritt, this is his first time.
Hello.
And actually, you're not getting paid, so...
So I'm a guest.
You're a guest. No, we'll pay you for this.
I'm a guest of no one. Tom Merritt from nowhere.
Are you going to grow a beard now that you're not on Buzz Out Loud?
Playoff beard.
It's a playoff beard. So we do appreciate our friends at Slingbox who are making live breaking news coverage possible on the TWiT network. We will do Windows Weekly at our normal time at 11 o'clock. And this week in Google... We'll be on at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, 2000 UTC this afternoon with Gina and Jeff and special guests from Google. But we do expect some very big news from Google today at their I.O. conference, and that's why we decided to cover this live, as we would have in the past covered a keynote from Steve Jobs. I think Google's treating the I.O. conference more like, say, a WWDC or a typical Apple keynote. So they are streaming it on their YouTube channel. We'll go to that from time to time. That's youtube.com/Google Developers.
We do expect them to talk about the TV thing. What else do you think we're going to hear about?
I have on good authority, I have some sources that there's going to be a big announcement on the video codec issue. You know, HTML5
right,
doesn't...
Right, because they bought the codec.
They bought On2 and Vp8. And it's been the hope of everybody, including Mozilla, which has, you know, Internet Explorer and Apple both have endorsed H.264, but that's an encumbered.
It is an open standard, but a closed piece of property.
Yeah. MPEG-LA owns it. Of course, Microsoft and Apple both are on the MPEG-LA board.
Which isn't a bad system. It's just not entirely open.
Well, and that's the fear, is that, it you know, at some point you could... For instance, when you buy a consumer-grade camcorder, I didn't know this, but it's in the...
Oh, yeah.
It's in the EULA, that you can't use it for commercial purposes.
Right. Nilay Patel did a good article telling people not to panic about that, because they basically said, look, we're not going to enforce that if you go...
Yeah, well, they say so now,
YouTube.
Right?
But that's the problem, is legally they could.
Right. He's talking about HTML5 right now.
That last spike, hey, we'll take support from wherever we can get it.
That's Google's search traffic.
Included Microsoft's support for HTML5.
So I expect there's going to be an announcement about a video codec. We're hoping that Google will open source Vp8 or related codec. The problem right now with Vp8...
Do we need another codec, though?
Well, Vp3, which is Ogtheora, or Ogtheora is based on Vp3, is not as good as H.264. So what we need is an H.264 quality codec.
That's totally open.
That's totally open. And it would be in Google's interest to create such a thing. So I expect that. I expect Google TV. We'll see some Android announcements, probably Froyo. That's 2.2 of Android.
Well, we hope to show you our proposed answers to some of these questions at this conference.
Will they update us on the Wi-Fi data that they stole?
They may say something about that. I bet
they won't.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect
it.
it.
It's all happening because we're working on it together, and we think this conference is an important part of that process. Before I hand off to our opening keynote speaker, let me just make two housekeeping announcements. The first announcement is I hope you all enjoyed the Android devices that we sent you as part of...
So remember, this is a developers conference. Everybody who signed up for it got either a Motorola Droid, or if you were out of the US, a Nexus One.
Already done so?
Why didn't I sign up?
Yeah, really. You still have to pay for service.
Just do a search on...
And we might hear about the Google storage thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting story that leaked yesterday on CNET, that they were going to do an S3 competitor.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
I can't hear him.
The second and last housekeeping note. Tomorrow's keynote will not start at 9 a.m. It will start
more housekeeping here.
8:30 in the morning. Now, I know that's early in the morning, particularly for you developers.
We also plan to get a number of people on later in the day during This Week in Google, and maybe today as well. We're going to have Eric try to get some people on to comment on what goes on today at the keynote.
All right. With that, let me hand off to our opening keynote speaker, who will carry
I know Gina's hoping for Google Wave news as well.
She's in Google Wave right now, hoping for Google Wave.
Yeah, I've got to go to that Wave.
Sundar Pichai.
And I'm really hoping, frankly, for Buzz improvements. I'm a big Buzz fan.
Yeah, I know. You've been using that a lot.
I love it, and it needs an API for third party.
Thanks, Vic. It's great to be here. I'm going to be
Smaller
talking
version
to
of
you today
Vic.
about HTML5, the incredible momentum we have, all the new capabilities that are coming up, how modern browsers are going to support these APIs. We will show you real-world examples. We will invite application developers who are building amazing experiences on top of HTML5. And finally, we'll have a couple of important announcements on the way.
That's what we're waiting for. So remember, this is a developers conference, just like WWDC, and they're speaking to developers. They're trying to get people to develop. Obviously, for HTML5 is more important at this point to them than Android.
So Apple will be pleased with that part of the announcement anyway.
Yeah.
Compared to every other information
Wow,
team
people
out
are spending
there,
more of their time on the
web
web.
has
What a
more than
shock.
doubled in terms of the amount of time
Google has said that
in the last 5 years.
as long as people use the internet, they make money. So that's their business.
That's how
Is
important
to
Getting
get
people to use
yeah,
the internet.
they don't need to charge for codecs. They don't need to charge for Google Docs because they make money on advertising.
Start
I
taking a look at how
doubt that
applications
0% TV figure that just flashed up there. I mean, I know it's small, but I don't think it's flat.
It's not zero.
Microsoft Office, iTunes,
In fact, it seems like people watch more TV than ever before. In fact, all the stats I've seen, people are watching more TV than ever before.
Yeah, exactly.
The interesting thing
Did I
though
miss?
is,
Oh, I left out a T.
since
Double I.
2004, we couldn't
Oh,
come
yeah.
up with popular desktop applications. that are
Merritt.
being
Two R's, two I's, and
outpaced
two
in
T's.
browsers
That's
that are being used by millions.
So that's
Finnish.
Tomas Merritt
That's the Finnish
from-
spelling.
From
It
NSFW
turned
show.
out it is the year in which Ajax and the Web 2.0 revolution.
I like the
happened.
ICQ logo that was in
People
there.
started writing these applications.
anybody
as
still use ICQ?
Web applications. Applications which you're all very familiar with. Gmail, Google Maps, Facebook, Twitter, etc. The world changed. The web changed from documents to applications, and developers started reaching users by writing web applications.
So it's a short history of the
instead
internet.
desktop application.
Zynga's in there.
Powerful change. It's
Zynga
very
just signed a 5-year deal with Facebook, so they're not going to go off to their own
That was
platform.
some devilish little negotiation. they
Yeah,
did
Mark
there.
Pincus is no fool, obviously.
Throwing a fit, saying
Yeah.
they were going to leave.
Maybe. That was a TechCrunch story. You know, I'm starting to take TechCrunch stories with
Oh, you should always take them with a
bigger
big old
grain of
table
salt.
shaker.
Yeah,
or salt.
yeah, no kidding.
absolutely.
So we don't really know if Mark Pincus was thinking of leaving. All we know is that Mike Arrington thought Mark Pincus was.
Web applications have been limited in what they can do. This is what the HTML5 work is all about. We are working very hard as a community to make sure all these capabilities show up in the browser. Let me give a few examples. Most computers today ship with powerful GPUs. How do you make sure web applications can access
Here's
these
Gina's
graphics
wave.
capabilities? That's what WebGL and the graphics APIs are all about. Workers. It is about
you so
allowing
much,
web
you know.
applications to access the
You
multiple
want a cup of coffee?
CPUs.
Oh, you see, you got to come here and have the coffee.
There are APIs to access the local file system.
We have good
local
coffee here.
storage, speaker, microphone, camera, and the list goes on. All this matters only if browsers support these APIs. So let's take a look at how we are doing there. About 24 months ago, this effort had just gotten underway. There was pioneering work here by Firefox, Safari, Opera, and Chrome didn't even exist then. So this is about 24 months ago, and the effort had just gotten underway. So let's fast forward to where we were last year during Google I/O. You can see the momentum was there. Set of APIs being implemented in all modern browsers, including Chrome. So the progress was very exciting. So where do we expect to be by the end of this year? As you can see, all the major APIs are going to be present in all modern browsers. So
No, they're trying to make it look like HTML5 will be everywhere.
Except for, well, I guess it will be. It'll be an IE9.
Yeah.
you as developers can bank on these APIs being present in the browsers when users reach your applications. Another important trend is mobile. All of you are carrying a smartphone here today. The interesting thing there is the smartphones are all web connected with
There's one
capable
smart
browsers.
ass in the audience going, I don't have a
This
smartphone.
is looking at search traffic, the mobile search traffic that hits Google. And if you look at the proportion that comes from HTML5 capable browsers, it's far outpacing the other browsers as well. So HTML5 is everywhere. So the question is, how do we make use of it? How do we all make use of it to create amazing experiences for users? So
Gina's
I want to
saying
show
that
you a few examples.
You can hear the
I'm gonna start
droid
with
throughout the audience as people boot up their devices.
Invite Jeff Chang, who's
That's
the product
nice.
manager on the
It's the first thing you do when you get a Motorola Droid is you change the default sound.
how Gmail Gmail has built two simple yet very powerful features on top of HTML5. So let's get started. So Jeff is loading Gmail. It turns out one of the most popular features in Gmail is sending email. And most people tend to attach files when they do that. If you're using a traditional desktop application like Outlook, it's very intuitive.
Oh, I see what you mean by
drag
the
and drop
balls
a file.
everywhere now. I'm sorry,
That's been hard for
I had no
web
idea what you were
now.
talking
But
about
now
until I
using
saw
the
Gina's wave.
HTML5 file APIs, he can drag that photo very intuitively and just drop it in Gmail.
That's a new feature in
Simple, but very powerful. What most users do on their day-to-day lives. A second such example is around notifications. It's very common for you to be in a web application which has notifications associated with it. For example, Google Chat is built into Gmail. The question is, how do you receive that notification when you're not on Gmail? But now using the HTML5 notifications API, Jeff can receive the email from Bob, I guess, even when he's not on Gmail. So two examples, the file API and notifications API, and Gmail is implementing to deliver powerful features to our users. So at this point, I would like to we want to show you real-world examples, people all over the community building great applications on top of HTML5. So I would like to invite first Charles Pritchard from MugTug and Jim Lanzone from Clicker.com.
You say Flickr or Clicker? MugTug. I'm familiar with that one.
Hello, everyone. My name's Charles Pritchard. I'm the CEO behind MugTug. I've come here to preview our latest software development. It's an application we call Darkroom. In 2006, Michael Deal and I created an HTML4 website called MugTug Studio. It used cloud services to allow people to edit their images, apply effects, etc. It was slow and it used a lot of bandwidth. But now, this year, with HTML5 support growing, we're able to bring MugTug Darkroom onto the client side. Now, when I say client side, I mean that we're untethered, we're not connected to the internet, or at least we don't need to be. I'm going to go ahead and unplug and show you that indeed we are offline, unless the Wi-Fi, of course, picks up. So we're offline, and we're still in the cache.
Gina's complained about that already. See, they can't really participate in the wave.
HTML5 APIs. One of them is application cache. We also use local storage and the file reader. Our GUI is in Canvas 2D context.
Kevin's observing that MugTug
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start using
an
the
HTML5
application.
app.
You can see here we have a few beautiful
So this
photos.
is equivalent to the part of the any Apple keynote where you bring up the parade
And
of
these are
development.
all
Yeah,
served from the local
without the
computer.
polish, of course.
But what I'd like to do is go ahead and work with one that has
Usually you bring up
push
the
button,
developers
and that's gonna be
after
this one
you
right here.
announce the technology. This is more just an
Experts
ad
in
for
my field notice a few
HTML5.
things wrong with this photo. It's
What
tilted.
it seems like what they did was
So
they
I'm gonna go
threw out
ahead
the
and I'm gonna
numbers,
apply our advanced
talked about
rotate
HTML5,
effects.
and now it's the HTML5
Very
developers.
wild, I know.
Right.
And the next thing we're going to do here is you can tell that the camera flash has brought out that infamous red eye effect. So I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to give him a much more natural appearance.
So this is an HTML5 kind of photo editor.
It's much better.
Wow, that's good.
Much better.
That was
Anyway,
quick.
That wasn't bad.
What you do see here
That's
is
better
the
than
next
Lightroom.
generation of application. It's quick to load, it's quick to close, and it's quick to use. I'm previewing it on the latest.
By the way,
which has
as he
great
pointed out,
support
the
for
Wi-Fi is so
HTML5.
bad
The application
in the
itself
hall that he's
is
doing this
using
cached
JavaScript,
locally.
And it's using the Canvas 2D context for its
Do you think
GUI.
that makes a
We're gonna
difference?
see a
I
lot
think it's-
more of these in
'cause
the
I think it
future
That's a selling point.
because
That you can do it as a
You
selling
can do it
point.
offline. Yeah,
The
it's huge.
Speed could be better because it's cached, though, for sure.
Well, of course,
My name's
yeah.
Charles Pritchard. This is MugTug Darkroom, and I invite you to visit us in the sandbox if you'd like some more information, or if you'd just like to play around with some of the other image effects we have going on.
Mercifully
Thank
short.
you.
Yeah, I like that kind of demo. It's photo editing software, Ron. Darkroom
Clicker, not
Sketchpad.
Flickr. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he said Clicker. Gina was all excited it was Flickr.
So we launched Clicker.com a few months ago.
I like
It's been
Clicker.
called the TV Guide for the Web. It's essentially a massive
used it.
database. Like
Yeah,
sites like
I've toyed around with it.
TripAdvisor or Yelp
It
or
works really
IMDb.
well.
But it's focused just on the premium programming available on the web across web originals, broadcast television, movies, music videos. because it's no longer about when things are on or having a schedule grid. It's about where they're on and whether they're on.
That's true.
And
Yeah, and that's the one thing that Clicker does that I haven't seen anybody else do very well.
And here's Web Originals, here's
We launched a few
TV.
months ago, and
So it's
a lot of our users
independent
are
of your
actually
cable
broadcasting
company.
on
You decide
TV
what you want to
screens
watch, and then it tells you
to
how to
their
watch it.
televisions or using a Mac Mini to do so. And Clicker.com was definitely geared towards the 2-foot experience. It's a website. So they've wanted to be able to use us in that 10-foot experience. So we're here today to launch Clicker.tv, which is our 10-foot
Chat room's pointing out that they spelled it wrong. They used an E.
There's no E in Clicker.
There's no E in Web
It looks
2.0
and
properties.
feels a lot like a downloadable application or a plugin or something you might have to buy a box to attach to your TV. But it's actually native to the browser. You just go to Clicker.tv to use it. It does this thanks in large part to HTML5.
I'm on .com.
Using Canvas, web worker threads, the local storage API, and of course it really.
I'm of course
in
using
a
Chrome.
browser like Chrome, even though it works in all browsers, it really shines, and you see the speed of this.
This is the TV
So,
version.
You'll see. Let's just go into say a show. So let's start with Charlie Rose. It's an example I like to use, and you'll see. Just start searching on your keyboard, and it just appears. You don't even have to go to the search box, and Chrome likes to show itself off. And you see all
That's
the
very
Charlie
cool.
Rose
That
episodes
did
that have
not
been
work for
online
me.
going back to
You need to use
1994,
Chrome.
all organized by season. Or another example, let's say with my kids, I want to watch this online show called Pigeon Impossible, which is a Pixar-like short. So again, I just start typing
So it
Pigeon,
doesn't care
hit it, and
where
I
it
get
came from,
to,
which I like.
the actual show page.
Yeah, it's not like a Comcast run property.
Well, and it's like Boxy, but it's unlike Boxy in the sense that it is rendered in the browser entirely.
And just hit enter, and then I just hit play.
I guess he's getting Wi-Fi. He's using Chrome and Windows XP, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. I didn't work. I had no scripts blocking it.
Yeah, there's a lot of
So let's
scripting.
say instead I want to watch actually broadcast television. Now we don't host all programming. To be the TV guide of the web, you have to be truly comprehensive across and
Look at the
unbiased
web-
across
the web
everything, even
content
the
that
things
they've
that you
got on
don't
here.
host.
Yeah.
So
I don't see
let's
TWiT. We have
maybe,
to
for
work on
example,
that.
go back to the homepage and then try the show Lost. I'm not sure how many of you were watching that 12 hours ago, like I was, hoping that finally they would someone would ask
It's
a
got
follow-up question.
it's got This Week in
Still waiting for
Startups,
that
but not
after
This
6
Week in
years.
Tech.
Hey, now.
So let's say we want to watch the last episode that's online.
That's interesting.
Again, just go to the show, hit enter, you get to the show. In this case, you're being taken to ABC's website.
Okay, I don't like Clicker anymore.
It comes up
Not until they
large
add you.
screen to play.
And they add us.
Or you can hit full screen to get it all the way there. But again, very easy.
Oh,
If
this
you're on
is
your
even
keyboard,
worse.
Just hit the backspace button or the delete button, and you get back to the programming
They
guide.
not only don't
So
have
maybe
TWiT, they
because I
have
don't want to watch the ad,
Twits,
I want to add it to my playlist.
which is
So you see
stock
down the
Twits.
left-hand side, I
Oh
can
no,
scroll
it's
down.
celebrity Twitter feeds.
I can add to my
Blue
playlist, and then
fail.
on the left-hand side of the page,
Okay, I don't like this
can then
company.
go into my
You
playlist,
suck.
just using the arrow keys or my configured remote, and you see all these.
Yeah, I haven't
shows
used this
that I've
Clicker.tv
saved
thing
on our
before.
site.
This is
Here's,
interesting.
Deadliest Warrior.
It's beautiful. I can see you'd use this on a Mac Mini without having to install Plex or XBMC. You just
Yeah.
you launch your browser.
So I've saved all these things. You can also then browse 1,400 categories.
Too bad
in
it's so
TV,
limited on
movies,
the
web
categories it
originals.
has.
You can even sort by theme.
It's really
So
best
like,
for
Pandora,
broadcast
like
TV.
themes.
That's what
It
I've
looks like
played
it,
around
yeah.
with. It's
It
like
looks
you,
like
you
it.
want to find out where to watch, I don't know,
And
you know,
see the movie
Monster
page, you
Garage,
can,
and you have no
just go
idea
straight into
how to find
Netflix
it.
if you're a
Right.
subscriber to watch. So that's Clicker.tv. Again, purely native. You just
kind
go
of
to that
interesting.
website, and very, very rich. Thanks in large part
All
to
the arrow
HTML
keys
and,
work.
5 and the guys at Chrome. We are in the sandbox, and
Can't
we'd love to see
believe
you
they
guys
don't have
there.
TWiT on there.
Thanks for having us. Have a great next couple of days. Thanks.
Loser. It's actually beautifully done.
Thanks. So it's great to see these applications. We'll have many more on the way. And these are all built on HTML5 and work great in the browser. One of the interesting things that Clicker.com showed is the use of video. Video is one of the most important forms of communication on the web. Just like images are very popular on the web. But as
Thank you.
developers, when you use images on the web, you have a plethora of choice and formats, including an open and freely implementable format like PNG. We think video
Okay, watch this
should have the
carefully.
great free and
Here comes
open
the video.
alternative as well. It's really important for the web to have
Comparing
one
PNG to
originator for
JPEG and
video,
GIF, which are encumbered.
high quality and open. So we've been thinking hard about this problem.
Although
In
not
fact,
as
we are
successful.
very, very committed to this, and we have invested over $120 million in acquiring Onto technologies to contribute towards this vision. So today, we want to talk about Vp8, but before that, let me tell you a little bit about Onto. We got to know this team last year. They're a set of passionate, committed engineers. They're based in Clifton Park, New York. They've been working on the video space since 1992. So when we started taking a look at Vp8, we were very impressed with its quality. The Vp line of codecs has had over 2 billion installs and has been adopted by products like Flash, Skype, etc. It's really suited for the web. To serve video on the web, you need to deal with a lot of varying conditions. From a bandwidth standpoint, from a client standpoint, there are many, many mobile devices which are connecting to the web as well. Vp8 is really good at adapting to these varying conditions. They're very efficient with bandwidth as well. We serve over 2 billion video views per day on YouTube, and so we really care about bandwidth costs. And so Vp8 is very efficient with bandwidth. In addition, we believe it's the best-in-class codec for real-time streaming as well.
That's
So
the
overall,
issue.
we are really
Can it
impressed
compete with
Vp8.
H.264?
And so today, we would like to announce that we are fully open sourcing
That's
Vp8
it.
under a completely royalty-free license.
This is WebM. That was the Google. Open source, royalty-free, and it will be Vorbis compatible.
We are working with many people in the community to do this. And so there's a project called WebM, which we are announcing today in conjunction with many partners. And it's an open web media project. It will have Vp8 as the video codec, and it'll be packaged with an open source audio codec, Vorbis. You can
That's
find
great.
more details about this at the project site.
We're
But
going to
there's a lot
have
of
to go back to
excitement
putting
in
out
the community around
Vorbis
this.
versions of
And
our
so to
content.
talk
Yeah,
more
not
about
Vorbis
this,
VP8,
I would
but
like to
that's the
invite
thing,
two
it's
major
now gonna
browser
set up a
vendors
battle,
who are pioneering a lot of the
between
HTML5
H.264
work.
and this.
And so first, let
Whereas
me
before it looked
invite
like
Mike Taylor
H.264
from
was
Mozilla,
definitely going to crush
followed by Huckle
Right.
William Lee from
Vorbis.
Opera.
Well, and Apple and Microsoft have both pointed out that Og Theora, they think has patent issues.
Theora.
And the question is, and Theora is VP3. The question is really, is this completely unencumbered?
Google for this huge investment in open web and open video.
Google's got lawyers.
We're now at a time
Yeah,
whose idea
and-
has
and
come.
other patents.
Industrial
This
strength,
is very good news.
royalty-free video with a high-quality open source implementation.
Mozilla will jump on
and,
this,
as you'll
and
see, broad
they haven't
industry
yet
support. More importantly,
declared support for any codec.
it will also have millions of kitten videos. As of today, I'm very pleased to
This
share
is
with
important,
you,
listen.
YouTube will be supporting the WebM video format as part of its HTML5 beta.
Of course they are.
They've started converting their entire catalog, beginning with the higher quality videos at 720p and above, and that'll continue over time.
That's great.
With this, you can use high quality video.
Now
Built
what we
into the
need
stack.
is streaming as well.
With great performance.
So WebM is what they're going to be.
WebM
is the
is
handle.
the name.
Yeah. YouTube just likes to re-encode their entire library a lot.
Over and over again. They've
It'll
written the
be video for a
Python
long
scripts.
time
It's just a
because we want to
plugin.
see HTML5 reach its full potential. Since Firefox 3.5 almost 2 years ago, we've been shipping the open source Theora codec and working with those developers
This is Mike
who are
Shaver.
visionaries, really, in seeing the importance
We
of
actually wanted to
universal
get him
video
on to
very
talk
early
about
on.
this.
We're excited that they're joining with us as well in supporting the WebM project and have already started working on the code.
Makes me
and,
think of WebMD
tools.
every time he says it.
Video
Oh,
is
dear.
key to the web experience, and because of
As
that,
long as
it
they
needs
don't
to
have
be
Everett
part
Koop as
of
their
the web,
spokesperson.
not just
Okay.
technically, but also in terms of in the terms of its use. JavaScript, CSS, HTML, SVG, HTTP, all of these technologies are usable with no strings attached, under any terms you want to build anything you want. We wouldn't accept that HTML was only licensed to be used for documents and not applications. We wouldn't accept that you couldn't distribute what you do with CSS unless you signed a license. We've seen what happens and how much disruption it can cause when the terms of a platform change at the whim of one organization. And the
AKA
web needs
GIF.
to be above that.
And the battle
The
over
web's growing important
GIF
capabilities.
format. Yeah. Only old farts will remember that.
To be clear, I didn't make that happen. The web's growing important capabilities, and as it does that, the demands on browsers increase. We're working at Mozilla to make sure that every part of the stack is ridiculously fast. This means taking advantage of graphics on computers and mobile devices. It means taking advantage of multiple cores and DSPs, and, as you'll see, hardware from other WebM partners. The Vp8 codec itself, in taking advantage of multiple cores, specializing for low power and embedded devices, is not only a great codec for today, but it'll scale with us as the web does in the future. I say every year that it's a great time to be a web developer, and every year I get to be right about at least that. Open Video is now here in high quality. Excuse me.
Yeah, Unisys had the
High quality, and
patent
it's
for the
embedded
GIF
into the
format,
stack.
and there was a
Part
big
of
battle
everything
over
you
through
use
the
now,
90s.
Yeah.
like text, like images, like CSS.
And that's what gave rise to
It'll give you a taste
PNG.
of what you can do when it's built into the stack.
Although, will we
and
see
you
the
can
same
use it
thing where
with all
GIF
the
and
tools
JPEG
you've
settle
come
out
over
and
the
still
past 10 years
stay
of
the
web.
dominant format?
Right.
This is
PNG
something
just
we
kind of
built
puts
with
along
2
as a
videos,
nice
handful of
alternative.
images, and about 450 lines of HTML, CSS,
Or will this time be
JavaScript, and
different?
SVG. Anybody in the room could read through it.
Well,
understand
unfortunately,
it,
Microsoft
use it
and
in your own
Apple have a
space.
lot to say
No
in this, and
external
they
libraries,
are
no obfuscation. It's all
investors
right
in
there.
MPEG-LA
You
and
get real text built into
H.264.
the platform. You can select it.
Is Google
you can
not?
localize it. You can search index it.
I don't
You
ever
can
see their
annotate it.
name included.
Yeah,
Apparently
that's an
not.
interesting question.
Circles,
And Apple
exploding,
doesn't even have
shooting at
that
each
many
other.
patents. It only has a handful
You get
Right.
high
in
quality
MPEG-LA.
video
They
with
could
custom
pull out of it, I
controls.
suppose. Will
Scaling
Apple stick with their
720p
anti-Adobe
resolutions, built into the
closed
platform. We give you control
rhetoric
of the
and
video
move over to
experience
this? I doubt it.
how users will find it.
Well, they really ought to, because this is the same issue. Firefox will be supporting
Surprised you to
WebM.
discover we weren't. But we don't. Our ambitions don't end there. We want to see
So
this
Clicker
in all
TV
browsers,
does work on the
all
iPad.
devices. We want to see this available to every
So I know
user
people are kind of
to
interested in
take
that.
advantage of the great things you people are going to build on top of this platform. We've got
Let's see if
we've got
the video
nightly
does
builds
that.
kicked off today.
I guess
You'll
that's
be able
going to
take them
depend
and
on where the video's
start
coming
building your
from.
applications now. And I want to thank you, excuse me, as we get this technology out to 400 million users on Mamo and Android devices as well. I want to thank you for your time today. I want to thank you for building a fantastic web.
Well, Kevin Marks has an interesting point on the wave here. It says it means the chance of imposing fees in the future from MPEG-LA just went away.
Right.
Because you've got a
There's
Google-backed competition.
Yep. Now, there is a question in the chat room, and I think a good question of quality. H.264 is known for the quality. I have been told by people in the know that this is not exactly VP8, that it is better quality. It has the hitting. It has the streaming capabilities.
Opera's coming on stage.
I'm hearing good things about this WebM. I'm not sure the difference between it and VP8.
It's a fantastic day for the web. I'm very proud to be here. My name is Håkon Wiemli. I'm the CTO of Opera Software. 3 years back, in February 2007...
Now, did he close Chrome?
That's
what he was
Gina
doing.
said he had to tab through the Chrome windows to get
to Opera.
To get to Opera.
Yeah.
We wanted there to be video on the web. The video was missing. We had text, we had images, we had...
Well,
many
yeah,
things
that's the
that
big
didn't have
question is
video.
support for H.264 is built into NVIDIA hardware.
Right.
And there are a lot of H.264 hardware and code chips, Blackmagic cards and things like that. And there is currently no support for VP8. So I think really the key is going to be hardware support.
A high-tech...
I want to see NVIDIA take the stage after Opera.
That would be
if
big.
NVIDIA takes the stage, then we've
Yeah.
got something.
And the great
Or
news here
Intel, I
today
suppose. But
is that
yeah,
web
NVIDIA takes the stage
M
huge.
It's actually a big
has joined the
opportunity
list.
for Intel.
Tim didn't patent HTML. I didn't patent CSS. Brendan didn't patent JavaScript. We need for there to be an open and freely usable format for video on the web, and I think WebM is it. So I'm very proud to demo Opera here, running, showing WebM. The video you're seeing here is this is from the 17th of May celebration in Oslo. We do this every year to celebrate the video tag.
To celebrate the video.
And you can download Opera with WebM support in it if you go to this URL there, labs.opera.com.
What is this, the running of the Norwegians? I don't
He said that was a parade to celebrate the video tag.
Now, the video tag is not going to be alone on the screen. Here I've added a few more things. Except from the video, though, there's no images on this screen. The heading here is web fonts,
Okay.
selectable fonts.
Uh-huh.
Really
The,
tying
graphics
WebM
here
into
is,
HTML5.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
can see that he nods in approval. for
Which
WebM here.
is an
done
interesting
with
rhetorical
CSS,
device against
transitions.
Apple.
This is also CSS Transitions down here. We can do a whole lot declaratively now without the need for JavaScript. There is some JavaScript here, though. You can see the national anthem has been rendered at the bottom there, and that's done in the canvas element.
I love how they've
A
zoomed
little
in so that you
JavaScript
don't know
library
this is
to render-
opera.
To render musical.
Or maybe it isn't opera.
So all this is coming together now. We think that
Oh no, it's opera.
video, being a first-class citizen,
is Hakon
will
William
join
Lee,
the
who
other
is the
content types that
CTO
we
at
have, and we will
Opera
have very
speaking.
rich web pages in HTML and CSS3. My prediction is that we can, if we use these techniques right, we can get rid of half the images of the web, because they're mostly there for styling
Welcome,
purposes.
Kelvington.
But by adding
Kelvington's
all
a
this
Buzz
video
Out Loud
stuff, there's
viewer
still gonna
who's
be,
followed you.
lots
Master of
images out
mashups.
there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Thank you,
They
Kelvington.
did a whole Doctor Who Star Trek DVD that's fantastic.
So to the web community, I'd like to say, start using this. We need to go out with our video cameras. We all have video cameras in our pockets.
Yeah, but they
And
all
we
shoot
should-
AVC
we should do
HD.
it. This guy in Germany just went to his local zoo and filmed the octopus. And it's
The local
fantastic how this
zoo.
video presentation really increases the educational value of
Fatty Mo
Wikipedia
Kid.
or
And just
whatever
think of all the
kind of
pornographic
content you're
images you
doing.
can put in
Video,
Wikipedia now.
is truly
Oh, no,
amazing.
never mind.
To Google, I'd like to say thank you. It's very civil of you to spend time and money getting WebM off the ground
And
releasing
Hamiltus.
it to the open.
Nothing
And
from
I look
Android
forward
yet,
to working with
Hamiltus.
video,
We're just talking
with
VP8.
Google
This
in
is
the
this is
future
the
to
biggest
make sure that
story
the web remains open,
that I've been interested
to
in.
be used,
Yeah, so far it's all about open sourcing the VP8 codec
At
as
Opera,
WebM.
we put
So you'll hear it
the
talked about as
web
WebM a
all
lot,
sorts of phones.
as
We're
an
on
H.264
hundreds,
competitor.
And this in conjunction with HTML5, because
millions of
HTML5
people
needs
who never
a
otherwise
standard
had
video codec.
access. And we truly believe that
is
web
unencumbered.
access is going to be one of the human rights of this century. Thank you.
Now, Craig 612, I was referring to the Wikimedia kerfuffle over Jimmy Wales removing pornographic images from Wikipedia and then being banned.
Thanks, Mike and Hakan. So it's really exciting. One of the core tenets which underlies the web success is that it's based on open
I'm reading
standards like
in the
HTML,
future because Gina's
HTTP,
wave is always ahead of what
Is
they're
ahead
saying.
of the video?
Yeah. yeah.
Oh.
Video get that option as well.
Let's see what's coming.
He's going to
up.
say,
Wave,
should I
Wave-
spoil it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Wave is now open to
For an
all.
effort like this to
No
be
invites.
successful, we
Oh, she
really
says
need
no mention in the
support
keynote
the
yet, but
entire
blog post is
industry
live.
to
Oh, so she's getting that
She's
on
ahead
some
of even the
second
keynote.
source. Look at her. Go, Gina.
So we've been reaching out to many partners.
Okay, now quick, let's parse this slide.
We've received over
Hardware, AMD,
for that.
NVIDIA.
I wanna follow
NVIDIA,
two people.
Qualcomm,
First of all,
Freescale.
we
Those are all
wouldn't
the
be able to do
mobile
this today
platforms.
Yeah.
without
I don't
the
see
support
Intel.
Yeah, that's a
people
big
like the
omission.
open source
TI.
systems like Warbus and Tira. So we are very grateful to what they've done, and we are looking forward to working with them. Secondly, for VP8 and WebM to succeed, it's really important that we have hardware support, especially given
Yes.
how many mobile devices are getting connected
Yes,
to the
yes.
web and serving videos. So hardware acceleration is very important, and we are working with many hardware partners and publishers. You can see the names on the list, and we are working very hard to make a highly optimized RTL freely available soon to our hardware partners. So we've talked about HTML5 APIs, how modern browsers are supporting these APIs, and given you examples of real-world applications. We have more examples on the way, but at this point, I would like to invite Kevin Lynch, CTO of Adobe. Adobe has been
Adobe.
doing a lot of work to support HTML5, including providing tools.
Adobe's
that are
done a
really
lot of work to
important for
support
developers.
HTML5.
So let
They
me
really
invite
have.
Kevin
What?
Lynch.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Now, really, Flash is right now just a wrapper for a variety of codecs, including a VP6 codec.
And
So they could
HTML5 is great. It's
they
a
could
great
say we're going to
tool
support
for
VP8.
HTML on the web, and seeing the examples here this morning.
But they
no
need
reason
to.
they wouldn't.
see it
They
coming
need
along
to.
and seeing what's possible now in HTML. And at Adobe, we've been for over 25 years now enabling people to express themselves using a variety of technologies. And it's really fun to see new technologies come out like this that people can take advantage of in expressing themselves. And we're really excited to work on enabling that to happen. Of course, we work on a variety of technologies at Adobe. And today, though, I want to focus on HTML5 and what we're doing around that technology. And I'm going to give you 3 examples of some of the work that we're doing in support of HTML5.
So the first thing I wanted to show you is what we're doing in Dreamweaver. And Dreamweaver is the most popular pro HTML editing tool besides Notepad. And I'd like to show you some stuff we're doing in here. This is a website that we've mocked up. And one of the areas that we've been really looking at here in support of HTML is how do you actually do this with HTML5 across screens? Because now, obviously, we're all starting to target multiple devices. And so we're working here with HTML5 and a new capability that we're adding to Dreamweaver CS5. And it's called multi-screen preview. And
this is just Dreamweaver can do good HTML5.
See a 3-up of your website design, so you can understand how it's going to look across these devices. And you can see right now, it doesn't look that good across these devices. But you can use CSS, of course, to customize your design. So what we're doing is making it really easy to hook up alternate CSS style sheets based on media queries. And so, for example, if I want to have a phone-sized one here, and a tablet-sized one, and maybe a desktop-sized one, I can set the width of each of these different style sheets so that when it hits that width, it will show that particular style sheet with the site. And then I'll press OK. And now you can see your design in 3 different formats. The same HTML5 code underneath, but now you're able to see 3 different renditions with CSS. And in fact, doing this production right now, it's really hard to understand how your stuff's working. You have to keep trying on all these different devices. We also support navigation here. So if I want to click, I can start playing through my site and see where I still need to work on my site some more. So this is going to be a big productivity increase for people trying to do HTML5 across devices. Now,
will those HTML5 pages be allowed to run on the iPad?
Not if they're done in Dreamweaver. No, sorry. We check
like the nav tag and other
check the code
check the authoring signature.
You look at that doc type.
CSS things. For example, when I'm changing this page here, and actually you can see it changing between the different styles.
Yeah, now they're using Windows 7, which is a good thing.
So as you're editing the code, you can see the different views live while
this
you're
is
doing
this is not Chrome. This is
I can open up the
Dreamweaver.
CSS for it. And right now,
this is running
there's not
in a
much
native
of an effect
application
on these. But if I want to, I can actually make this go bigger here if I want to. Let me get the tablet one. There we go. See, it's popping up right there, but it's not very smooth. And so if I can add actually transition. Part of the new work that's going on in CSS.
This is nice. I mean, if you want to do HTML5, it would be nice to have this kind of hardware.
Attributes in CSS. So I can do a Webkit transition here. And if I want to make it do
still
like
too
maybe
expensive, but
a half a second transition, I can go and roll over. And now you can see I get a smooth rollover rather than the jerky one from before. And so that's supporting all the new transition effects in CSS in live view inside Dreamweaver, so you can start editing. And of course, this does gradual
yes, he does.
enhancement as
do
you have
me.
browsers that support these versus ones that don't. But it works consistently now in the authoring.
I don't have Gina's. Let me see. How do I get the URL of
is
this wave?
How do we support?
I'm looking at it as an embed on smarterware.org.
Oh, okay. There's a way to do it. Smarterware.org.
And this is a table that has some availability for the one table that's in this cafe. And you can see it's booked or it's free. And it would be better if I had a picture showing the availability here. So let's go over to Illustrator. And Illustrator already supports SVG. We're working on some enhancements, though. And here's a graphic of a time clock. It's just a bunch of shapes and colors. And I'm going to actually connect this with JavaScript and CSS and make it a dynamic clock that shows the free and busy times at the cafe. And to first set.
So is it important at all that this rhetorically isolates Apple?
Here in Illustrator. And from Illustrator,
this really takes away a lot of their points about why you should play in their sandbox. Adobe's saying, "Hey, we'll support HTML5 too, and we'll do this web." I'm assuming they're going to say they're going to do a WebM support in a container, because why wouldn't they? Google's sort of circling the horses here.
I don't think it isolates Apple. Apple's, in fact, just saying we will support HTML5. They're using WebKit, which is exactly what Chrome is using. So I don't think that in any way this isolates Apple. I think, in fact, this validates Apple saying, no, we want to move towards HTML5 and web standards. We want to move away from Flash is a move towards HTML5. What Adobe's not saying here is what they're going to do about Flash. I mean, they're committed to Flash as a development tool. This doesn't address that at all. This merely says that their other development tool, Dreamweaver, will give you nice HTML5 tags automatically. What I'd like to hear them say is we will support the Vp8 codec in Flash. That'd be a big step forward. They do support VP6. That's the default in Flash Media Encoders, VP6.
The thing I wanted to show you is some further out thinking that we're doing about how we can do animations inside of CSS and JavaScript and HTML5. So
Flash is just a wrapper for a video codec when you're playing back video. And the truth is, you can unwrap. Was an easy thing for Google, for instance, to do with YouTube, is unwrap the Flash video and just put the native H.264 up. Now they're doing something more difficult, which is to transcode the H.264 into Vp8. That's a little more churning involved.
And when I go to a different state, it animates automatically. Now I want a bike to come in here. So to do that, I'm just going to make the different shapes that I have defined.
Yeah, Google I/O says Apple's fight is with ActionScript. And that's the 3.1.1 issue, which is you can't use ActionScript to code for the iPhone. That's another matter. That's a second bone of contention.
To the right. So
but they've used all kinds of rhetorical tricks to defend that I think are being blown apart a little bit here.
Well, no, not at all. I think that there's a difference between coding an app and coding for a web page. All this is doing is supporting coding in HTML5, which Apple wants you to do.
Right, and it shows that Adobe is not against that. Adobe is not some kind of
crazy
evil
to do that in Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver supports C. Really, most people use Dreamweaver at this point to do CSS. And so this is just, and it's a good JavaScript tool because it does the cross-platform encoding automatically.
And I want the bike to fly in, be visible, and show up on the
No, I agree. Sub-Zero is saying the problem is H.264 is encumbered. That's exactly why we're excited about Vp8.
Different states set up.
I'd like to see Apple support WebM.
Well, what we really need is a streaming company like Ustream or Justin or BigGravity to support WebM. We could then, because we are really kind of limited. The reason everything we do is in Flash or H.264 is that's what our partners offer. Ustream and Justin offer unwrapped H.264. That's what you use if you're watching us on the iPad or iPhone app, or if you watch us natively on the iPhone. That's H.264. We'd be glad to do Vp8, but we can't afford to serve the thousands and thousands of people who watch live.
It seems like it's similar to the hardware issue right now. He glossed over it. He said, we've got hardware partners, and we're going to work with them.
Yeah, but you did see Qualcomm on there. You did see, they're the Snapdragon folks. You did see companies that...
so it'll happen.
Yeah.
It's early days.
Right.
Innovation continuing, and we're really excited to see the Vp8.
It'll be a while, at least a year before you see phones and computers with hardware Vp8 WebM support, I'm sure.
And we're going to distribute Vp8 to over 1 billion people in less than a year of its release. So we're going to really help push out the Vp8 codec.
But now I'm going to rewind that, because what did he just say? It sounded like support for Vp8 from Adobe.
The other area we're working on is, of course, we're working with Google on a bunch of devices with Flash, and you're going to see a lot more of that on day 2. We're really excited about it, and we're really happy with
Android. The new Android 2.2 Froyo supports Flash 10.1, and in fact, when you apparently launch a phone with 2.2 on it, it immediately, and the browser immediately pushes you to a site with Flash.
You've seen these great web applications and what you can do with HTML5. But I want to talk about a couple of problems which remain on the web. The first is that it is very hard for users to find web applications. In the earlier days, literally you could walk into a retail store and pick software off.
By the way, we want to thank our friends at Slingbox for making this possible. They are our sponsor for breaking news. You're going to see more breaking news on twit.tv thanks to Slingbox. Use Slingbox to watch your favorite TV shows when you're away from home. Now available at Best Buy. To learn more and to find an in-store demo near you, visit slingbox.com. We use Slingboxes to transmit video. So does, I just learned, ABC and others to transmit video over the internet. It's that good.
I've tried to do so. It turns out there are many, many great chess games on the web, but it's very hard to find one which is really good. There's no way for you to get ratings and reviews. You can search for it, but you can't see ratings, you can't see reviews. You don't
think they'll do a web app store?
That would be interesting.
You can engage in a
that would be
discussion with other
very
people who are
interesting.
playing the same game. It turns out it's actually much easier on a mobile phone to go find a chess game, whereas it is very, very hard to do the same on the web. So that's one problem.
Is it really?
The second problem is, as developers, when you write these applications,
Are you Googling chess game?
Yeah,
There's lots of them.
Free chess games,
Yeah,
chessgames.com. Plan one now. Look at that.
The second thing developers care about is monetization. Today, advertising is the primary form to do this, and it works great in many, many cases. So advertising has been a very important form of monetization on the web. But we want to create other alternatives as well.
There you go.
For example, it should be easy to create and sell a premium application on the web. So these are the two problems we've been thinking hard about. And as part of that, we want to give you an early preview of a product, what we call a Chrome Web Store. So I'm going to introduce Can Liu, who's the product manager on the Chrome team, who's going to walk us through the Chrome Web Store.
Interesting.
Again, an early preview.
Now that's a shot at Apple.
Of Chromium 90
Definitely.
builds, so bear with us.
Or a riff on it.
What you're seeing...
It's an homage.
That's right.
So it's a very familiar...
And in a traditional Google crap interface.
Icons which you've installed right on the
It's
new
simple.
tab page. One caveat, though. These are web applications. You can find them on the web anywhere. But now you can conveniently add it onto your new tab page. So as you can see, there's Clicker.
Do I
Jim
need
Lansing
this?
talked about Clicker.com.
I don't
love that
even
application.
understand
I have it
it.
installed on my new tab page. Let's go ahead and try one application. Let's try TweetDeck.
All right, let's do it.
I'm sure many of you are using TweetDeck right now.
No, this is not Adobe Air version of it. This is the web-based
web app.
HTML5 version of their application as well.
HTML5. Yeah.
And so what you're seeing is fully in the browser. It's really slick. You can drag and drop it. Let's go ahead and add a keyword for Google so that we can start watching the tweets come in. So you can
So
add
far, you could do
Google.
all this right
They
now.
use the
What's
notifications
Yeah,
API
he added it,
to deliver
but
tweets to you right
he's
in the
just showing how
browser.
TweetDeck works.
They've also used the geolocation API. So you can click on it and see where all the tweets are coming from. So this is all done using HTML5 in the browser.
Okay, he's showing
Let's
off
go ahead and
HTML5
send a
stuff.
tweet, and we can send it to the Google I/O channel, live from Google I/O. And so this is an application which I've conveniently installed in the new tab page. So let's go back there. One icon you will see
I
on
see.
the
So when you
bottom
create a
right
new
is
tab,
what we call
instead
Chrome
of getting what we've gotten in the past, which is most visited sites, you can now see in applications.
Gallery full of applications. And so you can go here, discover applications.
This is a store only in the sense of it's a directory.
It's a very nice bookmarking system.
Right.
You
Although
saw
they
the
do sell
demo
stuff.
earlier. I love that
Well, that's what I'm
application.
interested in. What do you
It
get?
costs $4.99. I can go ahead and buy it. We worked very hard to simplify the process. So once you set it up, it's normally one click to buy an application.
That's interesting.
Buy it. And add it
Actually, this is an interesting
straight to the
ecosystem.
web
So
page.
you've now installed that, in
So- and
effect,
you can start using it right away.
into
Go back
Chrome.
there. It
Well, what
turns
did you
out one of the
buy? Did you buy
important
access to the
class of
site?
applications on the
Apparently,
web
yeah.
is games.
So the idea here is to encourage developers to do more HTML5 development as an app.
So let's try a couple. Plants and Zombies.
Oh.
It is a very
That's
popular
versus
game
zombies.
on phones.
Oh.
Now
Oh.
you have it in the Chrome Web Store. So you can click
As
on it.
what,
and
Flash?
it's a full immersive, full screen experience.
It's probably an
right in the
offline
browser.
HTML5.
The way most people want to play games. And
But yeah.
this is built on
Is
Flash.
it- okay.
And
Flash. So
applications in the Chrome Web Store can be built on.
you can currently buy
standard
this from
web
PopCap
technologies,
and
including
install it
Flash,
as
and
a
we support all of them
standalone
in the Chrome
desktop
Web Store.
application.
Right.
So the goal of this game is to knock zombies out.
And so now you're buying it
we
as
can
a...
This guy has played this game, by the way. he's doing exactly what you're supposed to do.
Another
This
I
guy
always
has
go, I always
played
go to
this-
the side.
Yeah, get sun,
But he
though.
probably
Get
didn't have
sun.
garlic.
He didn't have
call this
garlic.
Lego
Oh, you like the garlic set technique?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It is a
I just
3D
learned
game.
that technique.
We were wondering what game to show this audience, and we figured as long as it has 3D,
Now, this is interesting.
Legos and Star Wars.
This is
it's gonna
very
work well.
interesting.
So we worked with.
And
this
so if I
company
want to
called
launch
Unity
that
Technologies.
app,
They have a game
do I
engine,
have to have access to the internet?
simplified
Yes.
And do
You
I?
have to have
And I
Chrome.
have to have Chrome launched.
We are showing it using
It might not need access to the internet. Those might be able to work offline.
That's
you
true.
definitely have to run
You'd
Chrome.
have to run it in Chrome.
Open source technology.
So this
Not
is
Chrome
also
OS,
this,
which
and
is-
that's interesting because
yeah.
this supports Chrome OS in a sense because
Yeah.
now you can add apps to Chrome OS without having anything more than Chrome.
Rewrite these in JavaScript, but now you can use something like native client to run them directly in the browser.
But what's the advantage
So-
to doing it this way
Purpose of this game
instead of just?
Well, advantage Google. You're right.
Yeah, for me as a user though, if I have the app, I'd rather have the app on my desktop.
Yeah, effectively,
access
you're
it
putting
from
everything in Chrome.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
Pat wants to know more about the garlic strategy. We'll talk about that in our Plants vs. Zombies breaking
all
news
the
episode.
games on top of native client to get it working in Chrome. So these are rich, immersive 3D gaming experiences which will be coming to the browser as well.
Now, no wonder Adobe likes this. This is all about Flash. And in effect, you can't develop Flash apps for the Mac, but you sure as hell can do it for Google stuff.
Another important class of applications.
It's great
is
for
around
Google.
content.
It's a
Like
new,
good for developers.
it's a new axis of not evil.
Read a magazine, it is
It's
a
true.
really
It's
nice
the axis of not
experience.
evil.
So how do you create that same experience on the web? This is an important problem.
Is that
And we
Unity?
reached
That's something
out to
different?
magazine publishers to help create these experiences, to show what you can do.
So
in terms
Steam,
of servicing
that's
content
true.
on
It
the web.
is kind of like
I would like
Steam,
to
as
invite Terry
Green's
McDonough,
pointing out.
who's the editor
Is
of
it?
Sports Illustrated.
If
Or,
it's offline
Hanukkah.
access, then sure, yeah, I guess it is.
Sports Illustrated. Now, this is another area where Apple has been dominant, is in the content, folks. Wait a minute. He's not using an overhead projector. Oh, my God.
He's from Sports Illustrated.
Where did
Give
he
him a break.
find that?
Fine with me.
He got it from the office.
The Google AV?
He brought it
Standing
in.
is a very good thing. The
Oh, my God.
brand, Sports
He's using an
Illustrated,
overhead projector. I hope he uses a grease pencil.
brand.
He does look like my old gym teacher.
Extremely lucrative.
Oh.
Started from a very simple idea.
This is, and
self-defining,
Gina points out, this
becoming
is
more and more
prep for an Android
complicated.
tablet.
And now,
In
Looking at
fact,
a magazine.
what is that on
faster than it
the
ever
on
has.
the overhead? It
And
looks
it's not
like
just
a
Sports
tablet.
Illustrated. In my
It's
company,
got power. It's got VGA out.
Yeah.
every single one of the iconic
I'm hiding it. Let me
magazine brands.
expose
I'm
it.
talking about People, Fortune.
That looks like he's got a little
Entertainment
tablet or
Weekly,
something. No, that must be part of
Time.
it. That's the
Very fast
projector. That's
also.
all part of the projector.
The reason for this
It's a document camera.
is
That's
that
right.
empowered engineers and developers, like all of you in this room, are in turn empowering and helping me as an editor to create new versions of Sports Illustrated. That's why I'm here.
Okay.
I'm going to start.
Mick points
with,
out the guy's only 3 years older than me.
Video. Hopefully we'll have a little
But he
swagger to it,
looks
and they'll show you,
older, doesn't he?
sort of where
He looks
Sports Illustrated.
well, he looks fine. I don't want to
Oh, no ageism.
Looks nervous is what he looks.
Yeah, it looks very nervous. So this is really a shot at Apple, because Apple's iPad is all about, from the point of view of these publishers, it's all about saving the magazine, saving the newspaper. So Google's saying, well, what if you could do it in rich web applications, and we have a way to pay,
We're live
and it
now.
works on everything. This is Google's tagline is runs everywhere. That's what they're talking about with the books, with Google Editions.
Partner in creating this.
You've got a browser, it'll run.
HTML5 prototype that will hopefully show some of the possibilities of bringing an enriched magazine.
Do I have to use
to
Chrome to
laptops,
make use of that app store?
and tablets.
Well, that's interesting.
That's
really-
I would guess.
He's opening it.
Maybe not.
But if not,
It should, in theory, work on any
Really
WebKit.
very simple
Yeah.
idea.
That's a good question.
Somehow pull together the best of the web, the best of the magazine. This came off press yesterday in Merced, our plant in Merced. To pull out
Merced, that's where my border
absolute-
collie Sawyer came from.
most important things in
This
the
really
DNA
is,
of the magazine and translate
harkens
it
back to an
that way.
earlier day where they care what it was printed.
Kind of
This goes
does.
very deep
It's
for
beautiful,
us.
though.
We have
We've got
stats,
great
numbers,
reprographic
the most
printers
popular
out there in
things we have.
Merced.
And all the rest of it, of course. What I'm talking about here is a tightly edited, curated, free, open, social, searchable.
He doesn't know what any of those words are.
No, somebody said, say sociable.
Customize for yourself by rearranging it. It's also, of course, going to have live video feeds, live news, live scores, like we have here. All of this built on a foundation of strong journalism and informed opinion about the stories of the moment,
Unlike those bloggers.
Yeah.
and additional content that, in fact, will pull you in further, that will allow you to participate in this sports world. This is a poll that we're doing live right now about how to build a baseball franchise. It's not necessarily good news for the Giants. This is one of our sports columns. We have a number of these every week. This is, of course, boxing, which is enriched by
So Steam
video
supports
that
Unity.
is about what happened
There's a
outside
Unity
the ring,
plugin
behind
for
the books
browsers.
in the background.
Of course, Unity works on the
You don't
iPhone.
want to mess with
I just
Floyd.
believe in my skills and I believe in my talent.
And presumably all of these would work on an iPhone or an iPad because they're
Of
HTML5.
course, here's
Well, that's a good
hockey.
question.
But they won't.
Here's
You
your
can't
golf.
save them. You can't get offline
Here's
access.
NFL.
To
So
them.
how deep is Google's commitment to Open Go? Are they going to be so open that it'll run everywhere? Truly everywhere?
Of course, you might want to not watch this now. Want to save it for later, which you can do here. But most important, I think, is to always know where you are in this magazine so you can find what you want and go directly to it. For example, here's a piece on the end of the road for Shaq.
That's a great photo.
Kind of a bad call. The typography
None
here
of his sports jokes are going
very,
over.
very
No.
important.
You're talking to geeks. They don't really get out much. He thought he'd get a cheer for the Giants comment.
Yeah, he can get nothing.
Nothing.
Like the formula
You're going, what?
fonts that we're so used to online.
I'm from Norway. What are you talking about?
And say here's a strong portrait of Shaq.
I know my picture's missing from the
We can
wave.
deliver for you
I have no
video
idea.
of this photo
I saw
shoot
you putting
and
putting
how
one
we
in.
put
I know.
that
I tried
together.
to put it in, and it just
This was a
it was there.
chancy call. The idea also that you need to go deeper is very important because you might want additional stories about Shaq and his future. There they are. You might want to go wider. You might want to go into the NBA to see about LeBron. Or you might want to just see pictures of the last time they played together to see what that was like. And finally,
Holy cow, I
you
just got
probably want to share
283
any and
posts
or
in the
all
wave.
of this with your friends or whoever.
Holy
You
cow.
have a number of choices there. And as you're running through this, you can always keep up with what other NBA fans are thinking and saying about the league on Google Buzz. All this stuff
Google
is very
Buzz.
hard
Look at that.
for the user.
No
The
Twitter?
advertising, I think,
Come on.
has to work very hard too. No more
Not at
image
this conference.
messaging, really. What we need is stuff that is actually useful. So this advertising, I submit to you, can become so useful that it becomes content in and of itself. This is a new idea.
So the
in
advertisers always like to
advertising.
say,
Or it's not
and
a new-
occasionally,
it's a-
one time
it
out of
would be
100,
new to
they're
actually
right.
Deliver it. You can, but as you see here, you can change the lens and see what that's like, and then of course you want to buy it, so we can show you where to buy it.
So if
So what you can see that
if
we're
I
going
can make
for
this
here
work in
is
Safari on an
additional
iPad,
content of every kind.
then this is what the magazines will all do.
Why not? Yeah.
Because
And in fact,
I mean, I guess I could make more money selling an app there. Well, but now with that app store,
You want universal.
but you can't sell that app.
You want it
to
everywhere.
to the iPad.
You want it
place, so you
everywhere.
want it everywhere, right?
and the real question is, what's Apple's reaction going to be? You remember that Steve Jobs, in his conversation with Ryan Tate of Gawker, Ryan Tate pointed out that Wired felt like they had to write a special app for the iPad, and Steve says, well, then nobody's forcing them to.
You can, yeah, because
Well, what
they
if
could-
nobody really is forcing them
Yeah,
to?
what if they don't need to anymore?
Yeah.
It is that. Some of that was a little bit different, but it was live. But this is something that that we're very, very excited about coming forward with. And the reason for that is that in
I think the music was
fall of
playing you
last
off, dude.
year, not long
done.
after
Oops.
SI released a video demo of what an enriched magazine might look like on a tablet, I found myself in a very small conference room in Mountain View. And
That's because you're a
it
big
hit
guy.
me
Sounds
there
scary.
that I was at the beginning of a veritable storm of innovation that might not be so new in Mountain View, but that was going to allow the journalism that I want and that my company Timing stands for to flourish and to completely reimagine, remake the business model to support it.
Once again,
So I'm thinking about, you know, that quote in the sports movie Field of Dreams, where he says, if you build it, they will come.
oh yes,
I would add an addendum to that. It has to be built open,
Open.
has to be
I'd agree.
well edited, has to be searchable, has to be social, and it has to be everywhere. And if we do that, we can charge for it. It's great to be with you.
You're watching a special live coverage of the Google I/O keynote brought to you by our friends at Slingbox. Use Slingbox to watch your favorite TV shows when you're away from home. Now available at Best Buy. To learn more, find an in-store demo near you. Visit slingbox.com. Thank you, Slingbox.
And they would
for
not
making
do
this
it on the
possible.
web
Tom Merritt and
unless
Leo
we can
Laporte here in
create
the
an immersive
TWiT cottage, and we're
experience
watching along with you the Google I/O
possible to do
keynote.
this in the browser using HTML5, and we really hope you and everyone watching this will showcase applications like what we just saw. So what does it mean to build on the Chrome Web Store? It means that you can reach over 70 million users. These are primary users of Chrome as of today.
Which I
And
could
in
reach more
June of
users by
last
just
year,
making a
when
website.
We talked about Chrome OS. We said we had 30 million users.
But you don't
As
get the
of
store.
today,
Now,
we are
here's a
over
real
70
question.
million
Do you
users,
have
and
to
the
use
number is
Chrome?
growing fast. So these people will
Kevin
be
Marks
able to
says if
have the
it's
web store
HTML done
on
right,
their
it
new
will,
web page
but
and discover
that's the question.
add both free and paid applications. So it's also important to remember that this web store will also be there in Chrome OS as well. So the Chrome Web Store will work on Chrome on Windows, Mac, Linux, and Chrome OS.
Requires Chrome.
It'll support both free and paid applications. It will work in over 40 languages and over 70 countries. We will be bringing this in the Chrome Dev channel soon, and we'll have a whole session at I/O to talk more about this. One thing I want to add is we support standard web technologies, and so applications written for Chrome Web Store will also continue to work on every other modern browser out there. So it's been really exciting to talk about HTML5.
So
We've
that's
always believed
a little fuzzy. Obviously,
How do you get them over there?
Yeah, the store will work only on Chrome, but what happens?
Yeah.
But the apps. Maybe Kevin's saying progressive enhancement, graceful degradation. So maybe you don't get the full features unless you use Chrome and you buy it.
Or you can't manage the apps from your browser, but if you can access them in Firefox, they'll work.
On HTML5.
They are doing the...
here comes the wave. And Lars, the Rasmussens.
Good morning, everyone.
He's back.
My. We're going to have a long keynote, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Starting to grow up as well. It's been
That was the first topic, that hour
HTML5,
one.
now Wave.
Yeah.
Communication and collaboration could work
Gina's excited.
on the web. We showed you right here on the stage here with an 80-minute demo last year.
Yes, that's
today,
right.
Google Wave is a product that people are starting to use to get real work done all over the world. And we're going to show you that today with a 90-minute demo. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that.
Mars!
What we're going to do is this. We're going to open up Wave to everyone today. So you no longer need an invitation to use Wave. Just go to wave.google.com and log right in. Thank you.
All right, we mentioned that earlier, but that's big. Now people can start really using it, because that's been one of the breaks on it, is if you want to use it with somebody who didn't have an invite.
Services start their life. Maps, my last project, started there 5 years ago. Wave has been in an invitation-only preview for half a year. We've gotten tons of great feedback. Thanks so much for that. And more than anything, we've learned that Wave really shines as a place to get work done. In particular, if you have a group or a team of people that use Wave to collaborate on all manners of projects. And I think we hear a lot, and this actually matches our own experience, is that Wave changes the way you work, sometimes in subtle and unexpected ways. And we hear this in many different contexts. Of course, lots of programmers use Wave to coordinate their work. But we hear things like a fifth grade teacher has her students do all the research in Wave, and the kids love the live typing. It feels like you're talking to the other participants on the Wave, and the teacher loves it because she can see in real time what they're doing and jump right in and provide guidance. Brick and mortar businesses like this hotel here, they use Wave exclusively to track and discuss all of their tasks during a day. They tell us how Wave stops issues from falling through the cracks and helps keep everyone on the same page every day. Deloitte is a good example.
I wonder if Wave is going to end up being Google's mini disc. You know, Sony just never gave up on mini disc for years and years and years, despite the fact that the market just yawned. And with all due respect,
Buzz may be that.
Buzz may be that too. But with all due respect to Gina, people don't seem to be jumping on the Wave bandwagon.
Well, this is the key. This is the key right here, is opening it up. Because
this
I know
will be
a
the
lot
test,
of people
won't
are
it?
like, yeah, I'd like to use that, but I can't, and that stopped a lot of uses from happening. So.
I have observed that when people try Wave, they go, huh, and they stop using it. And I include myself in that.
Of course, Twitter is that way too.
Yeah, there may be.
Wave already, in particular early on during the preview, and you found it wasn't quite ready to get work done. Now's a good time to come back and give it a second try.
See, this is going to be the pitch. Come back.
Yeah, he's acknowledging.
Come back, please. Come back.
And we put a lot of work into just basic usability things, like you can now get email notifications when your Wave change. We've made it easier to navigate the unread pieces of a wave.
A lot of the uses I tried to put it to were uses that are better served in a Google Docs situation or a docs.com Microsoft situation.
If you add them by mistake. All of those things, if you have a group or a team, you're working on a project together, try out Wave. I think you will find it.
Troubled says he's went back to Wave to look at Gina's Wave. Gina and Adam Pash and Kevin Marks are live waving the I.O., and he says, I couldn't even find it. Well, and I think that's also getting used to Wave. You can find it. You just have to know how to use it. Devlin says, we've used Wave at university since we came into the beta at the beginning and love it for group things for 5 to 10 people. And I'd say that's the case.
We recently made it a lot easier to embed a Wave on your own website. We even made it possible for non-Wave users to see a public Wave that you embedded on your website. And today, we're checking off...
They should show the Wave that you and Gina and Kevin and Adam are in as an example of that.
They should.
Yeah.
Live Wave.
A change that means that robots no longer have to live on Google App Engine. They can now live anywhere on the web, which makes it a lot easier to integrate Wave with your own application. We're also launching a new Wave Data API designed to let you build things like notifiers, but also lightweight clients, in particular for mobile devices. We're adding media and attachment features to both our robot and gadget APIs so that you can integrate with places like Picasa or Flickr and so on, and you can build inline viewers for media types.
They've needed this for some time. That's huge.
We're also adding a bunch more hooks for your extensions to integrate into our client.
Prezi would be great in Wave.
If you want to see some of the cool things people have already built, join us out on the floor in the developer sandbox. For example, Salesforce.com is with us today showing how they're embedding Waves into their new product, Chatter. Now also, we've always wanted Wave to be an open technology so that anyone should be able to build their own Wave service and have it interoperate in real time.
That was one of the promises, is that you wouldn't have to use it from Google.
Late last year when Novell announced that their new product, Pulse, is going to support the Wave Federation protocol. And today, SAP is announcing that their new product, Streamwork, will also support the Wave Federation protocol. Both companies are with us today out on the floor and at a session later where we'll show demos of how our different Wave services are starting to be able to talk to each other in real time. And to make this sort of thing easier for others to build their own Wave systems, we are today open sourcing additional components of our production code, in particular the in-browser editor, which is one of the hardest pieces to write. We're also publishing, and thank you.
He's talking to developers, don't forget.
Also,
they like that better than the Giants reference.
Another top requested feature. We're publishing
Shaquille, they don't know.
Well, they might know. They just don't care.
You guys will be able to build any Wave client you want and put it on top of any...
It's also an international audience.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which, of course, will include Google Wave. Now, just to end off, I want to remind you that we're using Wave at this conference here. There's a couple of Waves allocated for each sessions. You can use them to ask questions of the presenter. Someone will take live notes and you can discuss the session in there. I really hope to see you later, either out on the floor at one of the many sessions.
Wave's real problem was it was presented as an alternative to Gmail or to email, and it isn't. It really isn't. It's a group. I don't think ever. I think it's a group. It's a groupware product. Yeah, it's for working together in groups. I could see you working on using it to prepare, for instance, your new show, Tech News Today, on TWiT, that kind of thing.
Possibly, although when I've played around with prepping shows in it, it just gets confusing.
Exactly, because it's not linear.
Yeah, it's a threaded conversation instead of a document. So and the other thing about Wave, you can't see it on mobile.
Look at that, Web Workers HTML5. I love it. Yeah, Kevin Marks was saying you can't get it there in Droid.
Open standards are leading to innovation in the consumer web with the help of people like Terry.
What a knockoff
and
Sharks
Kevin
jersey.
And
it looks like the Sharks, except it says Web Workers and HTML and number 5.
More choice, which has always led to more innovation. Lars showed you how that's true with Google Wave, and he showed you how Google Wave is now heading off to work. Well, I'm going to spend the next 45 minutes showing you more about how is the web making work better.
45
what are the things
minutes
that we can do to help the web transform what we all do at work,
at least he warned us.
do at work, what our partners do at work.
There's no way.
It's supposed to be over in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The web is already transforming the way we work.
Hopefully that was a failed joke. But I don't think it was.
Collaborating on a presentation or on a design document by mailing around versions of content back and forth between people and saying who's got the latest one, who's got what edit. And I can't imagine being tethered to one particular physical device to find my data and my applications. It would make no sense anymore.
Like Wave?
You know that. I know that. We all know that. Companies know that. Every company we talk to is trying to figure out how can I
would like to see something from the Buzz team here, but I suspect it's just not an important enough product for them to... if you don't see the Gmail team, you're not going to see the Buzz team.
It's still a hobby.
It's still hard to do that. It's still too hard to take advantage of the web at work. It's hard for a few reasons. First, it's hard because it takes too long. From the time you have a great idea...
And that's the difference between really what we want to see and what this audience wants to see. This is an audience of developers, and Google's mission really is to get them developing in HTML5, and that's what you're seeing right now. And that's not really what the general public's interested in. We're interested in Google products. I'd love to see Google Docs, love to see Gmail and Buzz, and see those people talking.
Yeah.
You're watching live coverage of the Google I/O keynote in San Francisco. It's live right now on the YouTube channel. Google has a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Google Developers. You could watch it directly there if you want to see it without interruption. But Tom and I are providing the gloss. Tom Merritt's first official duties as our newest TWiT employee. Yeah, he's actually technically on vacation. It starts June 1st.
I'm still unseen at the time.
Thanks for coming out and joining us on your vacation.
This was fun, though.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I love doing this.
We're going to, Tom is going to be starting June 1st with his new show, Tech News Today, TNT. I believe we'll be doing it live in the 2:30 time frame. That's our current plan on our schedule, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. That's 22:30 UTC, and we'll, of course, put it out as a video and audio podcast immediately after he concludes.
I've been playing around on Ustream every afternoon at 2:30 to kind of test the news cycle.
Oh,
see,
how's that feel?
It feels okay.
Is it too early, too late?
So far, so good. I was worried that there wouldn't be enough stuff by between the morning and the afternoon, but there is. It's so far working pretty well.
Okay, we can move it.
I think the only issue with 2:30 might be for the East Coasters who want to listen to it on the way home. It won't get out for download fast enough, but you can listen in your car.
Well, we're open to input on that, yeah, and really we want to kind of move our audience towards listening to in real time as opposed to listening to download. We want to 2:30 Pacific
for everybody. Yeah,
2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. So you could listen if you have an iPhone or an Android phone. We do stream to almost all portable devices, so you could listen that way. We have a live audio stream that almost anything will play. It's an IceCast stream of all our programming.
That's twit.am, is that?
Twit.am, yeah. So really, that's the question, and we'd love to hear input from you, especially you former Buzz Out Louders who have come over.
Well, there's been a ton of them tuning into my Ustream chat.
Have there?
And,
that's great.
Giving me feedback, because it's been really informal. I'm like, these are the kinds of stories I might talk about. What do you guys think? And they've been great.
Good.
Big thanks to them.
What is your Ustream channel?
I don't even know. I don't know what the...
Search for Tom on Ustream.
Just look for me on Twitter. I will Twitter it out at twitter.com/acetech.
Yeah. Now they're talking. This is really enterprise focused. Now he's talking about Google and VMware and
to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing together.
Yeah, this is now we've gone way enterprise. All Merits of VMware.
I do love my VMware.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be with you here today.
Oh my!
Most of you will know VMware in terms of the work that we've been doing in allowing existing applications to be iterated forward and take advantage of a cloud-oriented way of doing computing. Customers have...
We actually are working on an enterprise show for you, believe it or not.
Existing applications.
No, Tom won't have to host it. To his great relief.
See the fear in my eyes.
Neither Tom nor I will host it. We actually have real enterprise people.
That's the key with that show. I'm totally consumer, and you need somebody who really is in that world.
Your Ustream, according to SPO, your Ustream URL is ustream.tv/user/acedetect.
Well, that'll get you to. I have like
that's not where you're doing
shows. I was trying to remember the actual show URL. I think it's open camera.
Okay.
After that, but that's the right place to go. Sure.
And actually allow them to start extending.
We'll be launching 3 shows in the next month. One is Tom's show, Tech News Today, TNT. We like that acronym because it's dynamite.
Explosive.
It's explosive. We'll also be launching a iPad show Sarah Lane and I will host that, although you're welcome to be part of that.
Yeah.
It'll be a three-way.
I won't feel left out.
No,
Yeah,
no, because I know you're now an iPad fanatic.
Yeah, I've got it in my bag.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we're also doing a green tech show. If we'd like to have you involved with that as well, if you'd like. And that's all three of those are going to launch in the next 30 days. So
I'll be the skeptic on the green tech.
that's good. That's good. You could be the anti-editor.
Be my,
that's fine. Yeah.
My role.
Yeah.
Can we license AC/DC's TNT for the? Do we have the budget for that?
I'll ask. I don't know. Maybe. God, how much would it cost? How much could it cost?
Yeah. Could cost quite a bit, actually.
We actually have a good theme
I like
that Dan Luters did.
Dan did. It's good.
I can debut it if you want. I think I have it.
Oh, yeah. Let's play it. I was going to play it on the Ustream one of these days, but yeah.
If I can find the Dropio.
What is Mr. VMware here?
The last several years have by and large
You
voted
could tell
with
Tom and I both have lost interest.
Traditionally, now work with
he's not showing anything, so
that give them much higher levels of productivity. And that's the reason.
This is why we don't do an enterprise show right here.
Acquired what we think is one of the best of breed new generation frameworks, the Spring Framework.
Thank God.
Okay, so this is talking
comes
to
from work that was
that
started,
level.
Thank God they acquired the Spring.
2002 by Rod Johnson and others who founded Spring, who'd been working in the Java world.
This is like cloud services stuff. Nothing that affects my VMware Fusion.
I would like to hear this Google S3 announcement if they're going to make it. Now, this seems like at this point they've really expected all the developers to leave the room except for
very simple, lightweight, but extremely powerful object model. With the result is that more than half of the lines of new Java code being written today are written in the context of the Spring Framework. They started that effort based on open source, and they have continued in the open and open source tradition, and we're committed to continuing that. And
Tom and I have dozed off. I'm sorry.
Last year, we started in-depth conversations with Google and said, wouldn't it be great to give the world's largest body of developers, the Java community, a way of writing really efficient, great cloud-based applications? And as a result,
this is interesting stuff. There's some folks in the chat room. What are you talking about? This is great. I'm a consumer
I'll leave it turned
electronics
up
guy,
for you.
So, yeah.
portable applications.
Enjoy.
With what Google has developed around
We have nothing to say.
A perfect marriage is to bring these two technologies together and give the industry an open source layer to cloak the clouds, to allow you to get the fullest benefit from your investments. The one thing I've learned over the years is the more choice you give developers, the more promise you give to developers that they're going to be able to get a return on their investment by having the widest possible number of places that they can deploy this technology, the greater the motivation, the greater the applications that result. So we have had our two teams working together to really integrate the Spring Framework and the Google Web Toolkit, and now give a complete answer as to how to write an end-to-end application, the back end and the front end, in a way that you can deliver really great, exciting apps that work across clouds.
Oh, whoops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to show that.
With a deep commitment to doing this in an open source fashion.
That's a good point. I actually
have you checked your farm lately?
Cauliflower.
Yeah, you got to check your cauliflower.
My
some of the
rule.
results of this work.
Once you get that cauliflower, man, it's just the whole world changes.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Paul. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt there. Go ahead.
So Gina's suspecting that Android would be the one more thing.
Thank you, Paul. Been very excited
After
to work
this is
with
done
Paul.
here.
Been even more excited to have our engineers and Paul's engineers working together to deliver on exactly what he said. The first of the promises that
What he said, whatever that was.
show you how we can use familiar tools to enable fast development. And the way we've done that is
from what I
we
gleaned
have,
of what he was
exactly
saying,
as Paul said,
this could have been the place
integrated
where they would announce the
Spring
cloud storage. So
backend
let's
development
maybe
tools,
we'll see
which
that.
let Java developers build great backends to their apps with the Google Web Toolkit front end.
Gwit
so you get
and
the
Roo.
power of HTML5 in a complete Java stack, backend and front end, integrated together. And to show you how that works, I'd like to bring up Ben Alex, who's the lead engineer for Spring Roo, and Bruce Johnson, who's the lead of the Google Web Toolkit team.
And I'll
to give
just
you a demo
reiterate
of
what I said
how these
earlier,
tools
that this
actually
is
work
a
together.
developers
You will be able
conference,
to
and unlike Apple when it talks to when Steve talks to WWDC, Google's clearly talking to developers here more than they're talking to the general populace. But we did get some big announcements. If you're just tuning in, Google did announce that they're going to completely open the Vp8 codec that they acquired from On2 Technology earlier this year. They're going to call it WebM, and they have announced support from a lot of the big players, including NVIDIA, Qualcomm, ATI. They've been promoting HTML5 heavily. And announced a Chrome Web App Store, which is a very intriguing development where they'll be able to sell, or people will be able to sell things like games and applications.
Will they even buy them?
Will people buy them?
Well, yeah, but we'll need to learn a little more how it works.
I don't think anybody's going to sell stuff exclusively in the Chrome Web App Store. You are working on your farm, aren't you? Harvest that cauliflower. That's really important there.
That's the sort of code that you don't really want to
Let's talk more about Gwit and Rue.
We said, hey, what about this? And they said, we have a tool that does exactly this. It saves you a whole bunch of time writing the code.
But we haven't heard anything about TV.
No, there's a lot missing. Google TV, we thought we'd
about Android yet.
We thought we'd hear about S3 competitor, and really the big story's got to be Froyo 2.2, what's new in Android. They did hand out, don't forget, they handed out Android phones to everybody attending, Droids to the locals, and Nexus Ones to the internationals.
And Google Wave not requiring an invite anymore.
Yeah.
And what was it? SAP and who was the other one that are going to start using Google Wave, providing Google Wave servers to their clients?
I think it was Novell was the other one. Yeah.
Log expense report. So we thought, let's build
That's
an
important.
enterprise application that will store expense.
But not on the
What's interesting about
order.
this,
The order. I mean, if you're talking about impact to people,
yeah,
Android is the hugest, and nothing about Chrome OS. Again, another surprise.
Yeah. So far, the open sourcing of Vp8 is.
So I have here an
That's the big story, and that was one we frankly all expected. I think the web app store is very intriguing. I think that could potentially be huge.
I feel that way I first felt about instant messaging, and the way I also felt about camera phones, which is I don't see any use for this. Why would anyone ever do it? And I was wrong, totally wrong in both cases. And so I'm probably wrong about this too.
The chat room is pointing out that there is another keynote tomorrow. This is the big one, though, as far as I know.
Yeah, this is the one that they made the most noise about.
We can do breaking news again tomorrow. We do thank, by the way, our friends at Slingbox. They're a new advertiser on the network. I've been trying to get them on for a long time because I've been using Slingbox for years. They have a great iPhone app, Android app is coming. I have to remember what I can say about that. And an iPad app, I think it's safe to say is coming. But if you have a TV at home and you'd like to watch that cable or the DVD or the DVR anywhere you can get online, Slingbox is a great choice. Now available at Best Buy. To learn more and to find an in-store demo near you, visit slingbox.com. And now back to Rue.
Now back to
and
code.
I think we'll take a Java date for that. Terrific. So now we've actually got Java backend taken care of. We could run this up if we wanted to.
What we're talking about really is a way that developers can write in Java and generate JavaScript, generate HTML-compliant code.
Now is Rue's going to have a look at our domain model.
Rue is, I think, a framework.
It looks at all of our columns.
Yeah, this looks a lot like Ruby on Rails.
You can run this up in the development mode just like you normally would if you're familiar with GWT. To save a little bit of time, I've done that for you already. And this is
that's a big story. Penn Jillette's going to start doing a show at Revision 3. I thought that was a big surprise.
Didn't know anything about that. Hey, look there. I got Slingbox running on my iPad.
Where'd you get the Sling Player?
The iPhone app.
Oh, you're running the iPhone app on the iPad. Well, that works fine, though.
But something that occurs to me is...
I am told, one of the nice things about the iPad app, the iPhone app, is it does work on 3G, which was a huge step forward. And I'm told that they've got an iPad app in the development stage. There's Mythbusters, Adam Savage.
Action going on.
That's great.
So in order to add...
Meanwhile, let's see what's going on in Rue-land.
Java fashion, string, comment, and I haven't saved yet, but when I click the save button...
Is that Eclipse? What is that IDE? Oh, it's Linux.
So what's happened is Rue's
It's
automatically...
running Ubuntu, Lucid Linux, Lucid Links, I should say.
Lucid Links.
I love Lucid Links.
I need to install that, actually.
Oh, you will. I was surprised. Colleen tweeted yesterday it's the fastest and best OS she's used since BOS, and I would agree with her.
Yeah.
I would agree with her. I'm very happy with Lucid Links. And this new social interface they have, where they combine mail and Twitter and Facebook, and I mean, they're using Gwibber, which is a great Segfault's great universal social client.
We've gone from an empty directory, we've typed less than 200 characters, and we've ended up with a GWT front-end scaffolded for us with full round-tripping capability. So this is a great way of saving time as you're building new GWT applications. At this point, I'm going to hand you back to Bruce, who's going to cover some of the other integrations.
He's talking fast.
Yeah.
Are they finally getting
He's getting
rushed?
their wrap.
Are they finally realizing that they're 5 minutes away from their stated end time?
So 200 keystrokes later, we have the basics.
It's basically, it looks to me like very much like Rails for GWT.
We saw STS, the IDE experience. We've also integrated Google plugin for Eclipse and GWT and Appigen SDKs right there in STS, so that you have all the tools you need right there at your fingertips. So we use that environment to continue iterating on the app using GWT and Root to continue to add new features and so on. And
but ultimately, and this is I think the point of all this, ultimately what you get is an HTML5 compliant app. And that's the key, is that you're using these very powerful frameworks and development tools and Java to ultimately output JavaScript and HTML5.
So let me point out a couple.
So you can iterate in the same way you do with Ruby on Rails, but in HTML5.
Show you how fast it starts. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Refresh. 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 That's drawing the UI, and that's getting the data, and it's up and running. That's about 500 milliseconds. Not bad. It's part of the reason for that, by the way, is that the app is only 100K. It's optimized JavaScript, as I mentioned, and that includes even the CSS and the images.
I wouldn't dream these days of writing native JavaScript for anything significant. And GWT is a good alternative if you use Java and you like Java.
Stuttery Web 1.0 click and wait kind of feel. So, for example, when I want to drill down on one of these expense reports, I don't have
now,
to
how does
wait
this
for a new page to
differ
come up.
from
I'm going to click this, and you'll see it
the idea
animates
of
and
writing once and then cross-coding to say,
well, this is cross-platform.
Right?
This is completely cross-platform, but it runs in the browser.
The code. Does it?
Well, that's an interesting point. It does output native code ultimately.
Yeah.
So it's a tool. It's a tool to output native HTML5. Yeah, that's a very good point. It's just a programming tool.
Spit out a lot of HTML with data intermingled because you're not sure what the user might want to see. But when I have an interactive application, I know what the user wants. So for example, if I want to see the number of people in the engineering department, I'll click on this triangle, and right when I click, it will fetch exactly the data that I need to answer that one user action. Click, and that actually did a network round trip, found 2 employees, populated the UI, and showed them. And we think that's fantastic. It really speeds up the app and makes it feel more responsive to what you're actually doing. Now, if you've been using GWT for a while, and we hope you have, probably nothing I'm saying here, aside from Roo, is actually new to you. You know that you can build these sort of rich web applications.
Then why are you saying
pretty easily. What is still a problem, though, once you get your app up and working, is how do you make sure that it performs well? Some of these apps get really large, and there can be bottlenecks inside the browser that are hard to diagnose. So to address this, we created a tool called Speed Tracer. We launched Speed Tracer in December as part of GWT 2.0. And I'll turn on Speed Tracer here. It's a Chrome extension. I'll continue to use the app, and Speed Tracer is in the background, paying attention to what I'm doing and recording information. So here, I will pause it. I'm going to zoom out. You see this is a nice HTML5 WYSI UI, all built in GWT, of course. I look at the sluggishness graph. I see a peak. That's an area that I could optimize if I want to. I'll drill down, and Speed Tracer shows me this bar, which has a lot of stuff
even
going
Gina,
on,
who's a developer, is not really
where time is going.
Getting into this.
So I see that a lot of the time is script evaluation, but it's also parsing HTML, recalculating styles due to CSS.
And she even says some eye glazing is going on in the audience.
Like
wow.
Garbage collection.
You'd think not, but I think probably developers have decided what tools they're going to use. This is kind of a hard sell on something that they may not be particularly interested in.
The guy said it himself. If you're familiar with this tool, you already know all this stuff I'm saying.
Yeah, and if you're not, then you've chosen something else.
This is classic bad use of PowerPoint.
Yeah. Well, Google wants people to use GWT.
Sort of like Speed Tracer, but for the server.
So this is really a pitch to stop using whatever you're using and start using the Google tool.
And Spring Insight tells you on a request-by-request basis the timings of various actions.
Fan art of
inside the server.
NSFW.
Hey, that's
As I was
cool.
using this app, I was gathering Spring
That's pretty
Insight
cool.
data.
I like that.
Here can
I love the
drill in, and you
Colleen.
can see, there was an HTTP post that did a JDBC select, and I can
NSFW
drill down to
fan
see
art.
even more details.
It's in the bacon
So if you
list.
think
if
it
you
would
want.
be neat to combine that information
Oh.
with Speed Tracer,
If my email worked, I would.
think you'll like it, because
Apple
that's
Mail
exactly
seems to have
what
just
we did.
blanked out on me. It
And
doesn't.
so, I'll
No
go back to
longer.
the network
You no
tab
longer
view.
have any messages, Leo.
A pretty traditional-looking network view, like you might have seen in
I don't know
Firefox
what's going
or
on.
WebKit Inspector, except now I have these nifty icons here that say, hey, for this request, I have data about timings on the server side as well. And so when I expand this out,
This is one of the chief advantages to GWT, of course, is all of the
post as the server viewed it,
instrumentation.
and I can see that there was a
Troubleshooting.
JDBC select call that happened on the server. So what we've done then is combine
Yeah, I thought it was
all the
Eclipse Lone
sources
Frog,
of
but I
latency, client,
couldn't
network,
quite see the
server,
icon.
all into one view inside Speed Tracer. It helps you drill down and find out any source of latency whatsoever. So Spring Insight comes with the developer edition of TC Server as part of Spring Source Tools. And that's great for tuning performance at your desktop. At some point, you feel like it's good enough. It's time to deploy, right? If you've used Google plugin for Eclipse, you know that deploying is really just essentially one button click. There's an App Engine icon there inside Eclipse. You click that icon, it goes to App Engine and continues running.
Everybody's tweeting the I/O announcement.
So
Not.
we clicked that button. And so now we have the same application running on
They're all
App
twittering, I'm bored at the I/O announcement.
I don't think they're all twittering
network
Justin Bieber.
slow. So this is the same application.
He's on
same
American
code,
Idol tonight.
Yeah,
simple
Twitter has
upload.
really become
We've added some additional
The
data
world.
to make it
the
more
world.
realistic.
Yeah. It's not the
And
province
it's very
of
much
geeks anymore.
changed, yeah.
But if you've ever done any sort of real
Well,
performance
actually, look at the
tuning, you know
trends,
that
though. No,
what-
Google
the way
I/O
it works on
Keynote,
your desk is not the way
Vp8,
it's going to work in
Chrome Web
production,
Store.
right? So
Hey, you know
need
what?
the
I think
same
they
sort
are
of
live
tools we were
tweeting it.
talking about,
That
but
the
you need
trends
them to
are
work even on your
Lead
production
wise,
server in the
oil
cloud.
spill.
Well, it turns out App
Oh,
Engine
you're
introduced
not looking at
something
the.
that's
I'm
almost
looking at
exactly
San
like
Francisco.
Spring
I'm looking at
Insights.
US.
2 months ago, it's
Yeah,
called
let me look
App
at
Although
US.
Google I/O is trending
If you've seen
US
App
wide.
Stats,
Even
you
US,
realize
yeah.
that, wow, if you could get that data, pull
But
that into
Lita-wise,
Speed
the ugly
Tracer,
friend,
then you could always do
Rand
diagnostic
Paul,
Rand Paul.
Dead Redemption.
when you're
Dead
currently running
Redemption.
production
Yeah,
on
it's
I
a
want
nice
to play
game.
Red Dead
Yeah, I
Redemption.
played
Have
it
you
a
played
little
it?
bit yesterday. I didn't play online yet, though.
Back into Speed
All my
Tracer.
friends
So
played online, but I
as you
couldn't
can
because we were watching
click
TV.
around
I just love it that it's a Western. I think that's great.
Oh, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
looks really
it's
beautiful.
really fun.
Yeah.
And it's apparently better on the Xbox. I'm playing it on the PS3, and it's gorgeous.
Really? It's
Yeah.
better on the Xbox?
Well, that's what Ars Technica said.
See, I have both, so I have to decide every time
Yeah,
a
let me
game
know what you
comes
think.
out. I'll get the
I'm
Xbox
interested in
version.
how they said it's not that different, but they said it is a little prettier on the Xbox.
You'd think it'd be the other way around.
You would, yeah.
People have a hard time developing for
I
the
tell you,
PS3.
it was pretty enough on the PS3. I didn't mind.
I have a PS3 on my 50-inch plasma, so I generally prefer to put it there.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're watching live coverage of something that's just really not that interesting. It's the Google I/O
right at the
keynote.
moment,
Not at the
no.
moment. We're waiting for the one more thing. We think there might be one.
These are all tools, right? We've been talking about the
Tom
tools,
Merritt,
editing,
in his
debugging,
first official duties at TWiT. Welcome. It's good to have you from
Good to be here.
refugee from CNET. His live
On
Tech News
vacation.
show will begin on June 1st. And it will be called Tech News Today. And as soon as my email comes back, I'll play you the theme, TNT. We're thinking right now, although we'd love your input, that we'll do it at 2:30 Pacific.
It just fits into the schedule really nicely.
Well, that's what we got a hold there. And we want to, Tom is going to kind of, I'm going to take the morning, the 11 to 2 shift. He's going to take the 2 to 5 shift, something like that. So we want to kind of do it that way. But we can move it. So if there's a better time for your life, let us know. But we're thinking 5:30 p.m. 5:30 p.m. Pacific, rather Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. Oh, thank you. And Jammer B's giving me the fan art. I'll pull that up in a second.
So I said, well, we know that these widgets have been designed to be lightweight, fast, small, and work with massive data sets. But let me
That's what she said.
figure out a way to convince you that actually works that well. I said to the team, like, hey, let's do some ridiculous amount of data, like 18 million records, and show that everything still works fast. I was joking, but they really took me seriously. And so yesterday,
I have to tell you, I'm
I think
joking.
the latest numbers
I was
were,
joking.
we had, filled this database full
This is
of,
the really cool. Do you know who did this NSFW fan art?
125,000
That's beautiful. These are
employees.
the hosts. There's
5,000
Justin,
reports, each of which has
and of course Brian. I don't know who the pipe smoker is. Buana? Is that Buana? Or no, that's Odocta.
non-trivial amount of
Yeah, I don't know who sent it.
I don't know who the
somebody
pipe
sent it to
smoker is.
Brushwood.
And then, of course, Colleen in the lower right.
So now I want you to take a
That's
look
awesome.
at the widgets and think about how this app is
Just
performing,
awesome.
knowing that we're working against a database with,
It's pretty clear they started
okay.
with actual
So
pictures,
what sort of
or I
things
don't know.
do you want to do?
Yeah,
Let's
maybe.
see.
Although that's a very
page.
anime OMG Chad.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that good? Love it.
And I'm paging through 5
Oh,
million
he's still on this.
records, expense reports.
OMG chat?
Try this yourself.
OMG
because
chat hat.
On a non-congested wireless, you'll find that
Oh,
it
he's got his-
pages about as fast as you'd want it.
If you look at OMG Chad's hat.
Oh, he's wearing a Jane hat. I get it. That's mine? What's he wearing mine for? Oh, because he was here. He was wearing it here. I remember when he came in. What's with the rodent? Pedo bear.
That's
See, I
from
got to watch.
4chan.
That's 4chan?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's being chased by pedo bear.
Can you tell we're a little bored? We're just a little bored. You're watching live coverage of the Google I/O keynote. Thanks to our friends at Slingbox for making this possible. Oh, thank God.
So that was what you were supposed to get excited about. Everybody needs to page through 5 million records, and when you do that,
I missed what we were supposed to get excited
we were
about.
paging
But
through 5 million records.
quickly.
That was impressive.
Done.
Impressive
so you
as
click on the
hell.
header and you want to sort quickly. Sort by date.
Oh my God.
No, I mean, we're talking about seconds, which seems like a long time in demos, but when you think about sorting 5 million records inside your own company.
Yeah. Tom Grazit over at CNET points out that the demo is running into problems as the Wi-Fi connection ground to a halt.
Right.
Which is probably because everyone was
so
checking
maybe
their Twitter.
I want this to be
And then Twitter ground to a halt.
Right now, they're all intermingled. I click on that, and I'm looking among the 5 million, the ones that are just in engineering, or maybe finance, or maybe marketing. Maybe I want to drill down to an individual person. Also.
Uh-oh. Now not only has the Wi-Fi died, but apparently the bandwidth to the Google I/O keynote is flaky as
You saw
well.
before how quickly we can jump into the details of any person we pick among the 20 million line items. Right?
Harrison's pointing out in our
Another neat
chat room, this is
feature is
exactly the demo Microsoft did when Office 2010 came
Here you
out.
see a lot of
Actually, I think it was the demo they did in Office 2007. Look at all the rows.
Records in the current page. W/space/Z. So that keeps up with me. That's fantastic. And now I can press enter and it will do an actual query that will give me back a result set that matches my search term. So I'm going to press enter, 1, 2,
Let's just
3,
check the
enter.
wave.
And now among the 5 million expense reports, I'm getting the
Gina,
ones that
Adam
happen to match my
Pash,
search term,
Kevin
and I
Marks
can
in the
continue
wave.
to page through those at my leisure.
Yeah, if you're really interested in the in the developer part of this, the YouTube stream at youtube.com/user/Google developers is unencumbered by our comments. This is the consumer
We encourage you to
perspective
watch that.
of it here.
Please
for sure.
watch that. Kevin Mark says this is candy for the in-house developers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And worked really well together. Spent a couple of days to create a
Although, looking at the Google Wave that's going on, it's not really grabbing the audience there as
either.
all that much either.
Yeah.
It's vegetables. It's important stuff.
This is the vegetables. I like it.
to get that much data in the database.
But the truth is, this probably isn't the place to put it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We think that's pretty cool. And we're excited for you guys to try these tools yourself.
But is this the only place that they get these guys all in one room?
Yeah, maybe this is important enough to the developers that they do need to hear about it here.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Ben. If you want to learn more, there are sessions. You can find them on your Android app. You can find them in the schedule where you can listen to the sessions and talk to the
one more
engineers
thing.
afterwards. What you just saw is not just a pretty cool app built on stage. What you also saw is the tools to let you build those kind of apps with that kind of performance.
Wanted to build an app on stage. I get that. That's kind of fun. That's dramatic sounding. But it's like installing Linux on TV,
Which we've done.
Which you've done
many times.
I'm happy to say that exact same widget library that Bruce just showed you, how it performs really well on a laptop at work. That same widget library is ready for mobile devices, makes it much easier to take one application and say, I want to access this data from all the devices I'm using, from tablets, from phones, which matches the real-world use needs of applications like this. So to show you how that works, I'm going to ask Ben to come back up, ask Bruce to come back up.
Would you like another cup of coffee, Tom?
I would love one. Yes.
John, please. more coffee. We brought John Slanina in. He's never had the plunger coffee. Why don't you make him a nice AeroPress?
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Not for me, though. I've had enough. Thank you. Thank you, John. John Slanina, who is, by the way, and also one of our newest staffers. John is now official on staff. I don't recommend the Safeway coffee. Why? Was it you that brought the Safeway coffee in? Who brought Safeway coffee in?
I'll have whatever's good.
Have the Cafe Verona. I think you'll find it's a mellow, rich roast.
Oh, I feel so spoiled.
Almost as exciting as widgets.
It'll be better than the machine coffee I'm used to.
Oh, yeah. One thing we can offer you, we can't give you as much money, as much excitement. The benefits aren't as good, but the coffee is much better here. CBS coffee.
On mobile devices,
it's actually Filter Fresh, if you remember.
Filter Fresh. They actually still use that. Wow. No, you'll notice I don't even have a brewed coffee machine here.
Yeah. Plunger. Like it.
Well, the plunger you're going to love.
French press, right? Or
well, it's kind of a mix. It's from Roby, the folks who make the Frisbee clone. And it's a plunger that has a filter. So it is both, look at iPad.
The same way that you would expect it to from what you saw previously.
Oh, they're taking the app they just wrote.
Does all,
and
that's good. So that's encouraging.
Appropriate for the device, so finger dragging and things like that. But I can still page just the same way.
I really want to see support. And I can't imagine why Apple wouldn't for WebM. The whole idea of WebM is it's plug-in free. If your browser can support it and get you the video without having to add a plug-in, and Mozilla will do that, and that's good news. But we want to see WebKit do it. Chrome and Mozilla will do it. I want to see Apple do it.
Why do you need to pick a side?
Well, because it's the issue of plugins. You could still have a Flash plugin in Chrome.
Well, why not have the video tag support, just like the image tag can support JPEG, PNG, and GIF? Why can't the video tag support H.264, OGG, Theora?
Well, it can.
Yeah.
So
you'll
specify.
Why are people picking a side?
Because, well, as an example, Mozilla has refused to say, well, we have a plug-in free solution because they don't want to do H.264 and apparently don't want to do OGG Theora. That's VP3. It's a little bit less good. But so let's say, but that's the whole point, is plug-in free. What is natively supported in the browser? IE says we're going to natively support H.264.
But you can natively support more than one image format. Why not more than one video format?
Well, you can't do it with Flash because you have to.
You can't do it with Flash because it's a container.
Right.
But why couldn't you say your video?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, you could do that.
Yeah. I don't.
Because you'd have to pay a license fee.
You have to pay the extra license fee. Okay.
I mean, you could, of course, do that.
And so Apple, who's not going to have to pay a license fee for this because it's open sourced, ought to.
Absolutely.
Just throw it in there.
And the only reason they wouldn't is for the same reason they don't want to do Flash. They may see it as a competitive threat.
Right.
That's
a whole different conversation.
This was, it is, and it really challenges. Do you like cream and sugar?
Black.
Really? Yeah. Okay. This is the WebM website, which is webmproject.org. This is the new Vp8. Oh, now he's showing it on an iPhone. Is that a Droid? That's a Droid. That's the built-in
platform
built-in
agnostic.
browser.
They got an Apple product
that's the whole
and
point,
a Google
right?
product.
Oh, he's saying, can I please get online?
Yeah. He's always trying to connect.
He's trying to get online. Let's see your password there.
Yeah.
Oh, what's he using? Is that that's the Sense UI. That must be an Evo he's got there.
Oh, is it? I like the Evo.
I got an Evo coming. Sprint is going to be sending me a review unit.
Now, did you pay for this?
No. But I am going to buy one as soon as I can. I told them I want to buy it, and they said, well, we'll just send you one for a review term. And then you could buy it if you want. But I will buy it, I'm sure.
Pixel by pixel, what you would be seeing were the network not completely overloaded right now. In fact, maybe.
Is it a Desire? Felix thinks it's a Desire. It looked like it was a bigger screen, but it was hard to tell.
I couldn't tell.
Last try.
It was definitely the HTC Sense
we
UI.
use that HTML5 app cache feature.
We
of
should
course,
add that.
the whole point actually is that you see two different views of the app here.
So you guys think it's incredible?
And both of the apps are live. Let's see if
it would make more sense.
Makes sense. Yeah, the Evo's not out. Of course, if they had 4G, they might be able to.
Oh, hang on. We're up. Okay.
Oh, it's working.
Delete the last 2 minutes.
Okay.
Conference fail.
Okay. So
it is odd that they're showing a Sense device, isn't it?
And I've been doing lots of work.
But Google doesn't care, right? They want you to use
they're
Android.
Making a point of showing
it's
that they don't care.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to use a Nexus 1 and be
Right.
accused of favoring something over or something else.
And it was dinner.
I haven't used Sense yet. I'm looking forward to trying.
It's pretty. I've only played with it. I've never used it, in real life.
I'm doing an experiment right now with my Nexus 1 because the battery life's been so terrible. and I've changed a number of the settings,
I'm going to press done on the count of 3. 1,
including
2, 3. And have a look over
having it automatically stick with Wi-Fi, even if there's a 3G signal. There's some interesting kind of non-intuitive settings deep within. And I also took off
the battery life.
That's the idea, yeah. And I also took off the app, the task killer, because I've been getting strange slownesses and hesitation in the Nexus One, and I'm wondering if maybe I don't need a task killer. So I took the task killer off. I'm going to try it without a task killer and with some of these battery improvements, just to see how well I can get through the day.
And I am going to say that you, Ben, are nuts.
If you're interested in that app directory that they were talking about earlier for Chrome, it's not up, but you can go to chrome.google.com/webstore and check to see when it finally does get up.
Good. Google.com.
Chrome.google.com/webstore.
Versus maybe your normal expense report cycle where your boss sits on it for.
Got that from Josh Lowenson.
Thank you, Josh.
Over at CNET.
It's a good thing I'm still here. I haven't left yet. Okay, so I am nuts. Okay, so let's amend it then. So let's go and edit. Let's backtrack. And I'm not going to round the bill up this time. 100.
They should have had a separate Wi-Fi network.
Well, I noticed he joined the speakers network, so they do. But
here in California, so I'm from Australia. I don't know what the total will be, but 148.
The Google I/O Twitter account just announced the storage news. That's weird. They're scooping themselves.
Well, they scooped themselves on with the blog earlier on the Google Wave open invites. So is that the one more thing then that we're going to see the cloud storage?
These guys have got to go to Cupertino and get a lesson.
Yes. That's right. Oh, 148.13. Now
we complain about Apple locking down everything and not telling anyone anything, but they don't scoop themselves.
Ben, thank you. That was
wow. That's really.
Anyway,
although in the end, what's is there harm to that?
This is for developers, though. That's a big thing. It's a RESTful cloud service built on Google's storage and networking infrastructure, so it uses REST. And it is not S3.
200 keystrokes later, you have an app.
Okay, so this is
different. Set of tools
this is the REST API thing.
You've got a nice widget library, an app framework to help you build apps that work.
I have a feeling he's about to say it right now.
Huge data sets that are running in the cloud.
Yeah, it might have looked on the stream like that was coming from there, but it wasn't.
Great for
that was just
diagnostics,
Leo pulling it up.
On your desktop and in the cloud. And then you've got the knowledge that these applications that you're building with the tools that we're talking about here can be easily adapted to all the different mobile devices that your users are actually using. We hope you'll try these out. We're really excited about all these things that are coming in GWT 2.1 and Spring Roo and STS. A lot of great stuff. Please do download it and let us know what you think. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
He is so worried he's fired after that. After that presentation,
you want to hear more?
He's
want
fine.
To see these things in action, try them yourself. The sessions, attend the session, talk to the engineers, download the code. You can build apps like that. You can have your own demo fun with your own applications that you've built on these open tools. Do your own innovation. The third thing we said we were going to show you is flexible deployment.
When you
rewound the stream, did you
fast forward? We're caught up, right?
I think we're caught up, yeah. That's a good question. No, we're live.
Yeah, we're live.
Well, the answer is, because you're building on open standards, you're not locked in. You've actually been seeing, over the last few demos, you've been seeing cloud portability in action. The first few demos you saw, built with one tool stack, open standards, were running on a development server right here on the development box. You then saw some demos when Bruce started showing you Speed Tracer, using Insight. You saw those same demos, same application, deployed to a virtual machine running on a VMware instance using TC Server.
I now have people in chat telling me my cauliflower is done.
App Engine. Same application.
And they criticized us for being
Google App Engine, you saw Speed Tracer tracing across that. And how do you, as a developer, make that decision? What do you change in your app to do these different deployments? Well, Bruce showed you. If you want to deploy your app to Google
App Engine, it's a good question.
Eclipse, using the tool set, you click on the button.
Does compressor support WebM? Probably not.
Because this app is built on the open standards, the Java Container API,
that's just a plugin, I'm sure.
Java Persistence API. If you want to deploy to any of the other open, standard supporting environments.
You know, watching this in Google Wave, the one thing that's not very good versus like a cover it live situation is that I have to continually manually scroll down.
Yep.
It doesn't
worse
work
than
in
that,
that situation.
New posts can be above where you are, so you have to use the next unread button. That's the way to do it. It'll jump around with you, but it'll
which is okay, but I'd rather just kind of.
Well, and the other problem with the next unread button is if you don't pay attention when you're pressing it, you'll go to the next wave.
Oh, that's not good. I have it grayed out right now, the next unread button.
I'd like to welcome Kevin Gibbs, the lead of the Google App Engine team, to show you what's happening in Google App Engine to help you work with all the applications that you need.
You're watching live coverage of the Google I/O keynote. We're taking the feed from Google's own YouTube stream and glossing it. Tom Merritt is here. I'm Leo Laporte. We thank our friends at Slingbox for making this possible. Use Slingbox to watch your favorite TV shows when you're away from home. Now available at Best Buy for an in-store demo near you. Visit slingbox.com.
Silver bullets or single solutions.
We plunged.
But instead, we
That's the
believe in looking
plunger.
at the productivity of your company as a whole.
It's got a filter
and seeing what we can do to help.
and pressure.
Now, one area that
But
we've
but tell me if that's not the smoothest, finest cup of coffee. We also don't use boiling water. We use 175-degree water.
That's pretty smooth.
That's pretty smooth.
It looks like something from a hospital.
It does. It looks like a ginormous syringe without the
As
needle.
all that happens,
Meanwhile,
it's increasingly difficult
back to Google I/O.
As your company grows, from having a few internet apps to having hundreds, and from 10 employees to thousands, managing that whole ecosystem and keeping it healthy becomes an increasingly large challenge for you. So at Google, we thought about this problem, and we wanted to do something to
You know, we
help.
should do a coffee show.
Of course,
Yeah.
Are you a big coffee drinker?
Yeah.
Okay.
Google's hosting on
I'd love to do a coffee
which
show.
already serves
I think you should do it, and I'll pop in once in a while. But I think
Yeah, I
this
need to
is-
find a coffee expert.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
I mean, I'm an enthusiast, but I'm not an expert.
I think that would be great. I would love to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, that would kill. A coffee show would be really great. It'd also be a very fast show. We could do it in 10 minutes. It'd be easy. You might want to use that special slowdown feature on the iPod, however.
Right.
As we
Don't
talked
too
to
exit.
our employees, our customers, and VMware, it became increasingly clear to us that the public cloud in general, and Google's cloud in particular,
This week in
had some
Drip. I like
barriers
it.
to writing enterprise software. We heard
That's
that you
good.
needed
Twid.
something that was
Pretty
more
much
reliable.
everybody on
We heard you
TWiT
needed
is a
something
coffee fanatic, so Steve Gibson, Paul
We heard you needed
Thurrott.
something with key features that your enterprise can't live without. We heard that you needed a better way to manage all of these
Kaneko
applications
says,
in the
your
cloud.
insurance does not cover a coffee show.
Best possible solution, both to the
My
engineers of the company as well as the IT administrators. And finally,
By the way, we will be doing This Week in Google. Paul Thurrott's coming up in just a few minutes with Windows Weekly. Paul, we'll delay your start until they've said something of interest here at the Google I/O keynote.
Which may be a long time.
Which may be a while. And then This Week in Google coming up at 2000 UTC. That's 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Gina Trapani will be with us from San Francisco. Jeff Jarvis as well. And other Googlers, including the Wave guy, I believe.
represents a new version of App Engine that was
Oh,
built
App
from the
Engine for
ground
business.
up
Now that's
around
interesting.
solving the
Yeah,
real
now we're
problems
getting
that
something good again.
enterprises face. It's composed of 5 features that we believe any business needs.
Is that the Java guy riding that jet engine? I believe it
does
is.
look like him.
Those
Yes, it
features
is.
are, one, a
He's
new
got a Google
company-centric
lunchbox.
management console, which makes it easy
And he's
for you
flying the
to
salt and
see,
pepper shaker I got on
manage,
JetBlue.
and set security policies across all of the applications in your domain. 2, it comes with professional support, so that when it's crunch time and you need help with your application, you know that there's someone out there that you can reach. It also comes with a formal service level agreement, or SLA, for the first time with App Engine. That means that we're putting our money where our mouth is when it comes to the reliability of your business. And finally, it also comes with 2 additional key features that we've heard almost every enterprise needs: SSL for your company's domain, and SQL databases. That's right. You heard me right.
SQL and SQL databases.
When Google App Engine for Business is completely available, you'll have the choice of using our scalable
Of
data
pronouncing it
store,
SQL.
which is built on Bigtable,
Or SQL.
or a standard SQL database. We know that these features are critical to enterprise adoption. And finally,
We will
Google
bring
App
Paul in
Engine
at
for Business
11
also
just so he can
comes with a new way
mock
to pay
us.
for App Engine, a new pricing model that's based around something that's simple: your applications and your users. But you know, I actually think the greatest thing about Google App Engine for Business is that it's based on the success that we've
Kevin
already
Marks is noting that the keynote has somehow switched to corporate developers about halfway through, and that's true.
Strong and still growing.
And not surprising.
It comes with all
No,
of the
I mean, it's a developers conference, and maybe we made a mistake assuming that they were going to actually cover something we cared about
faster. I mean, the first half of it was
stuff was very important, big news, and I'm hoping there will be some Froyo news, but maybe they'll do that tomorrow.
They may have trickled it all out.
Yeah, they may do that tomorrow.
All for free. When they're ready to share it.
And there may not be much Froyo news.
May not be anything to say.
That we don't already know.
That's right. That may well be it. And for people who are saying, a couple of people in the chat were saying, well, we just want to see the feed. We're just replaying the feed from YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/developers, you can watch it without our nonsensical comments. If you're watching our feed, it's because you want our nonsensical comments.
That's right. Or whenever they happen to be sensical. Everyone's
sensical comments too.
Your applications cost $8 per user, up to a maximum of $1,000 per application per month. That's it. There are no
App Engine really has been an enabling technology for people to create new ideas on the web, and it's really been a significant thing. I think this actually is a fairly important announcement from Google. It goes with Google Docs well, and they're really trying to keep businesses in the Google space. So for business which is deploying intranet applications, this seems like a good solution.
Well, what Google is trying to find with all of these experiments, with Google Wave, with apps, with everything they're doing that isn't search, is another revenue stream to supplement the main river that they get from search. Because thinking long term, which is one thing I like that Google does, that stream won't last forever. Even if it's going to last a long, long time, it won't last forever. And they want to find a second river of money.
Well, but I think the way they've priced this, I don't know if this is going to be a river of money. This might merely be to defray their costs.
Yeah,
which
this
would
may
be
not
real.
be it.
Yeah,
but they want to try all these things.
They are trying to get the corporation in the Google.
This could
sphere.
grow into an enterprise thing.
And from day one, Google has sold enterprise search boxes to businesses with the Google stuff on it, software on it.
Yeah, we have one sitting in the CNET server room.
Yeah. So that is a business they're familiar with and are in. And I guess that might be the next thing you would do is sell, Google App Engine boxes or something like it.
All right. So let me go ahead and open it up. I'm going to open
Adam Pash, Lifehacker editor in the Wave, is pointing out that the background is alive. The circuit board background is alive. And when we go back to the shot of the speaker, you'll see
that shows he's not.
This is really how bored he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa, it's moving.
Now, if you've used App Engine before, this screen should be familiar. It's our normal list of the applications that you work on as an engineer at the company. But as you go to create an application, you'll notice there are a few things that are different.
Now, Robert wants to know if energy drinkers would find a home on a coffee show.
For the apps that you want to create,
that would be This Week in Caffeine.
Application identifiers are limited to being
We're not going to do an energy drink show.
So you no longer have to hunt around
get a sponsor.
for one in the global namespace across Google. You'll also notice that we've got a different host name listed here, rather than appspot.com. When you create an application on Google App Engine for Business, it's automatically mapped into your company's domain. You don't have to do any DNS setup or do any virtual host or anything like that. It just works with your company's domain name and brand.
SurlyButcher.com? I'm not sure I want to buy from SurlyButcher.com. Doesn't seem like a company I'd like to do business with.
So I'm going to open that up for you, but before I do...
I wonder if definitely someone I don't want to do business with in person. Maybe over the web would be the best.
Is he next door to the Soup Nazi?
So I should be logged out now. Now I'm going to go ahead and open up the blog. Yeah. And you can see it asks me to log back in. That's because Google App Engine for Business is secure by default. Security policies for all the applications that are created are set by the domain administrator, and developers can't change them without permission. That means that you can be sure that your internet apps are safe.
This guy has actually memorized his speech.
Yeah, and Adam's typing in Wave right now. He finds App Engine interesting, but this seems more like a break-off presentation than a keynote. And I think that has been the main thing we've been reacted to in the past two parts of this presentation. Is this
really keynote
seems to be the keynote, but then now it's turning into these mini keynotes that are interesting to the people who are into this topic.
A breakout is exactly what it should be. Yeah.
You'll notice that there's a new link up here, which gives me a link.
Mary Jo Foley is now reporting on her Microsoft blog that, and thanks to Web 2415 for this note, that IE9 will be supporting WebM, which would be huge.
Yeah, I thought I saw that on the chart.
That Microsoft was there.
That IE9 was listed at the very way back. Do you remember back at 9 a.m. when this started?
Oh,
when we saw that chart.
Hi, dimly.
Oh, the memories.
Ah, yes. I wanted to capture that. I should have captured that chart because that might have been the most important thing in there.
Under permissions.
Yeah, there's a question mark next to the headline, so I don't know.
Control who has access to which application and what level.
Well, because they made
they have.
a snarky mark about IE, but then they had IE9 in a blue dot or blue box on the graph.
Go and deploy a new version of the application. And I can go under the data store viewer for the app.
They're going to use the BSD open source license for WebM. That's a good license. Better than I think.
Is that the same license Darwin is on?
Yes, it is. Yeah. It's better than the GPL3 because it doesn't have that viral requirement.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that for this application, I'm only listed as a viewer. That means I can get to this dashboard and I can view logs and so forth. But if I go to the data store viewer, I can't change any data in the app.
Microsoft is confirming it will support Vp8 via a just published blog post. Quote, when it comes to video and HTML5, we're all in. This is actually what you were talking about, Tom. It's in its HTML5 support, IE9 will support playback of H.264 as well as Vp8.
There you go, yeah.
When the user has installed a Vp8 codec on Windows, so it will not come with a Vp8 codec.
Well, that makes sense, though.
Well, that's weak support. That's not exactly the support you'd like to see.
It's weak because Microsoft's in charge of both of those things, and there's no reason they
could put the codec in.
Put the codec in.
If it's unencumbered, they should.
But the browser doesn't necessarily come with the codec usually, so.
Well, it will in Mozilla, though. I mean, that's the key, is that plug-in free video is what we're looking for.
But it's not you won't need a plug-in. You just need to install the codec.
Well, it's in effect. You have to download and install something, so that's...
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But when I go to list of all of the applications for the company...
But if I've installed the codec previously, I don't have to install it.
It'll just work, yeah.
It's not like I have to install a plug-in into Internet Explorer. Yeah, it's kind of stupid. It's like, why not just give them the codec? I mean,
well, I think, I think maybe they'll change their tune on that. If it's completely free and unencumbered, then there's no reason not to have it come, especially if it's not huge.
Other than navigating the torturous Microsoft bureaucity for pushing updates into the operating system, right?
It's not yet entirely available for everyone to use.
Paul is waiting. Windows Weekly is being delayed while we wait for this keynote to end, if it ever will.
Now I'm hearing now that it's going to go till noon, so we may in fact interrupt it. Let me pull up Paul anyway. He can chime in.
Yeah.
Because some of the features that I told
This is ongoing live coverage of the Marathon March, known as the Google I/O keynote.
Doogie Howser speaking right now, and
about when each one
is it our own fault for having high expectations? It
is my fault. I thought it would be.
It's not just you, though. I mean,
no, others expected.
A lot of the internet was a buzz.
Already testing the
well, and I think Google missed an opportunity to grab some attention. Let's get Paul Thurrott on here, see if he agrees.
Well, they may have thought we'll put the interesting things up at the top of the keynote, which they did. And then people will go away when they get bored. We just haven't gone away yet.
Yeah. Hey, Paul.
Hey, how you doing?
Paul is in Redmond, where you've been playing with the Windows Phone 7 for your new book. How's that been going?
I can neither confirm nor deny those reports.
Okay. Have you been watching the speech here, the Google I/O keynote?
Oh, no, I have more important things going on than Google I/O. No, what have they said?
Well, the big story, and Mary Jo Foley is covering this right now on her Microsoft blog on ZDNet. Google has announced that they will open source, as we thought they probably would, Vp8, a completely unencumbered video codec. They're going to call it WebM.
Yeah,
Mozilla.
Microsoft's going to support it.
Yeah. Well, Mozilla said they'll support it. Microsoft says it's going to support it in IE9, except you got to download the codec yourself.
Yeah, I blogged about this too, Leo.
Oh, you've already said this.
Yeah.
I should just read the supersite for Windows.
It's okay.
Cloud portability solution we showed you, working with VMware on open standards, made that happen. And we said we were going to show you how to juggle 1,000 applications for your company and keep your sanity. App Engine for Business allows that to happen. If you want to learn more,
this is kind of interesting, Paul. They have announced that they're going to make the Google App Engine available as a $10 per user with a $1,000 cap enterprise version.
$8 per user. I think.
$8 per user and a $1,000 cap as an enterprise edition.
We started this morning by talking about the power of
We started hours ago.
Standards leads to innovation.
We started last week.
I want that Sharks
Some of the
jersey.
people who started using the tools that we showed you today, some of the people who started using Spring several years ago, started using Google Web Toolkit 2 years ago, you're in this room. When you started using those
You're watching live coverage of the Google I/O keynote, Hour 3, America Held Hostage. I'm Leo Laporte with Tom Merritt.
Tie a Google ribbon.
We want to thank our friends at Slingbox for making this possible. All our breaking news coverage going forward is going to be sponsored by Slingbox. We're really thrilled to have them. We invite you to use Slingbox to watch your favorite TV shows when you're away from home. We use Slingbox to stream high-quality video from our remote broadcasts. It's just amazing. Now available at Best Buy, and if you want to learn more or find an in-store demo near you, visit slingbox.com. There we go. The end of the Google I/O keynote. And
I mean, did they announce anything?
Is that the end? Our long national
nightmare is over. They announced a couple of things. They the Vp8 open source was huge. That was the really big story, but not unexpected. They also announced, and this is kind of a surprise, a Chrome Web Apps store, which isn't live yet, but it will allow people to develop HTML5, or it looks, somebody said in the chat room, and I haven't confirmed this, Unity apps as well, that you could then sell. So the new tab window in Chrome going forward will show either the most visited sites, but there'll be a button that says show your installed apps, and these can be paid or free apps, HTML5 or I presume Flash. They showed Plants vs. Zombies. That was in Flash. So maybe PopCap and others will, instead of just selling games on their website, use the Google infrastructure to start selling apps directly into Chrome. What we don't know yet is whether the App Store will work in any other platform. But it's clearly a key development for Chrome OS going forward, because really when you install Chrome OS, what you get is a browser and really nothing else.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
So having an App Store available will make a huge difference for that.
Yeah, smart.
It's smart. Tom Merritt, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Tom Merritt will be joining us soon.
Thank you very
with his
much.
new show, Tech News Today, that launches June 1st, TNT. We are interested in your input as to what would be the best time for us to do it. We're thinking 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern time. That's 22:30 UTC, and then put out as a podcast shortly after. We can turn it around, I think, in an hour or so. So you'd be able to hear it the next morning. And that would be one problem with the 5:30 Eastern, is if you wanted to listen to a podcast on your way home, we might need to put it out earlier.
But let us know.
Yeah. Any way we could do that? I guess, do we have Tom at twit.tv yet? I think we set that up.
Tom at TNT at twit.tv already works. Been
So
reading some emails
that'd be a good place to email it. TNT at twit.tv.
Yeah, TNT at twit.tv. That would be the best place.
And Tom's trial channel is at ustream.tv/user/acedtect, ACEDTECT.
That's what keeps it beta. You have to be able to spell that ridiculous word.
You can go there, and until June 1st, that's where Tom will be growing his beard. That's right. Well, that concludes our live coverage of the Google I/O announcements. Some good announcements, some interesting announcements, including the opening sourcing of VP8. They're going to name it WebM. Mozilla has announced that they will support it, plug-in free out of the box. Of course, Chrome will. Microsoft says they will do so if you download a codec in IE9. We haven't heard from Apple yet. They weren't included anywhere on any of those announcements. Also, a Chrome Web App Store where you'll be able to buy applications from within Chrome and presumably Chrome OS as well. So we thank you for joining us. We also thank our sponsor, Slingbox, for making our breaking news segments possible. From now on, they're a new sponsor on the TWiT network. We invite you to try Slingbox. If you haven't tried it, it's fantastic. Go to slingbox.com to find a Slingbox demo near you. It's the best way to watch TV when you're away from home. Slingbox.com. Thank you, Tom Merritt, for being here.
Thanks, Leo.
I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on TWiT.